Hey, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the What Else Is Going On podcast, aka We Go. Today, I am super excited. If you are watching, you already know who I have on, but if you're listening, so I have to tell this really short story. So I was out in DC the beginning of February at Kempire's show. And I remember before it started, we were doing sound check and I was like, I'm normally nervous. I'm not nervous. I'm good. And he was like, wait till the audience is here and them lights hit. Nah, I'm good. Who walked out on the stage, my back leg was shaking so bad. And I love doing stuff like that, but I still get nervous. Mm-hmm. And I found myself focusing on one particular welcoming face in the audience. So she may not even know it, but every time I went out, I mean, I didn't want to appear like I was staring at her, but you know, they say find a space, a safe space. And she was it. So I was looking at her every time I went out. I was looking at her. Next thing you know, question and answer period. She comes up. I'm very touchy-feely. So I'm literally like, I mean, I try to read energy, but I'm really like grabbing her arm, giving her a hug, like all this stuff. Y'all. So I met these two other fabulous ladies from Shade in the City. And we took pictures. We were talking. And then next thing I know, I'm minding my business scrolling YouTube and I see Really B with ladies from Shade in the City. And I said, I listened to Really B. I found her on the Whether You Like It or Not panel. And I was literally touching her and laughing and talking to her. So y'all know how I like to do. I threw it out in the atmosphere. Really B, come over to the podcast and come play with me. And when she said yes, I was like, so Really B, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to it. I was a little nervous, but I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Oh my gosh, you have nothing to be nervous about. Y'all, if y'all have not watched her channel, she is what I love about your channel. You are fair. To me, you are unbiased. And you really do try to see all sides of a situation. And what I especially appreciate is if you don't see all sides of the situation, you don't pretend like you do. You say, I don't see it. This is what I see. Moving on. And another thing that I love about her that I didn't tell her, I was getting ready to get into it before we got on, but she is a teacher. And I've had teachers in my family. And you have to know your calling, what God put you on this earth to do. I tried it for one semester. And when I tell you I almost custom kid, listen, now it was an alternative school. It was, when they get kicked out of regular school, now the other school.
Well, that was already a situation.
They was trying to date me because some of them was 20 in 18 and 19.
I taught at a juvenile detention center. And so you definitely have to approach it differently. Although I actually loved working at the detention center. And my only reason for leaving is because I missed the calendar. Because at the detention center is year round.
Okay. So
the kids don't stop. Kids don't stop committing crimes because it's summertime. If anything, the numbers go up. So I said, I want my summer back.
Well, I appreciate you, and I've said this to people in my family. I have a friend who works with kids. I say this all the time, and it may sound crazy to some, but when you really think about it, when I would take my kids to school, of course, all my kids, my youngest is sophomore in college. But when you take your kids to school, you're dropping them off and you're leaving and you're going on about your day, trusting that they will be educated by someone other than you. And so I feel like teachers should be paid along the lines of what sports people make, because we are entrusting, we're entrusting the future generation to your hands. And trusting. So to me, I feel like teachers should not be out here struggling. Teachers shouldn't be out here funding their own classrooms. If anything, y'all need to be getting paid on a higher caliber than these sports people that we watch for entertainment, because entertainment turns off, but little people that turn into a critical thinking adults do not. Yes. So I thank you for your service to these children.
You. I really appreciate that. I do.
Listen, I loved my kids. What you need? You want me to volunteer for the room? But how many cupcakes do you need?
See, it used to be like that when I first started teaching, but it's not, listen, that could be a whole nother podcast, but when I first started teaching, oh my gosh, my first year teaching, I got so many gifts for Christmas. I literally took them home and opened them up. Like I had a whole nother set of gifts. For
Wow.
Christmas, gift cards and all kinds of stuff. And then Teacher Appreciation Week, oh my gosh, we were spoiled and pampered. But now, oh my gosh, it's terrible. Christmas, I'll get nothing. Teacher Appreciation Week, I might get lunch. You know what I mean? It's like, well, dang.
Right. What just getting personal for a second before we get into the things.
Okay.
Did you always know you wanted to be a teacher? And if not, when did you realize that was what you wanted to do? Because for me, you really have to love what you do in order to be teaching at like you made a choice to teach at the juvenile detention center. So when did you realize that you wanted to be a teacher?
So it's funny because what we just got finished talking about actually ties into my story. So
Okay.
when I was younger, I always wanted to be a teacher. I was the kid that had the chalkboard and I would line up my stuffed animals and I would teach my stuffed animals, whatever it was that I decided to teach them. Me and my friends used to play school and I was always the teacher. Okay. But then somewhere along the way, I realized, wait a minute, they don't make no money and I have expensive taste.
Okay.
So I decided that I wanted to be an attorney.
Okay.
So when I went to college, my undergrad is actually in political science with a minor in English. After I took my first couple of pre-law classes, I said, I don't think this is what I want to do. Like, I love the law. I'm intrigued by the law. But I wasn't sure if this is what I want to do. There's a lot of writing in the law and a lot of reading in the law, which I love to do both, but I love to do both at my own pace.
And yes, at your own leisure.
Yeah, I love to read. I love to write. I'm actually halfway done with a book that I've been halfway done with for a long time, more time than I care to share, but that's another conversation.
Oh, what book?
It's just a romance. What? I'm sorry. I was told to stop saying that. It's a romance novel.
Okay, gotcha.
I used to be like, oh, it's just a romance novel. But it's a romance novel.
I'm a reader too, so that's why I asked. And I get what you're saying.
One day I'm gonna finish that book. But with that being said, so honestly, what happened was I got to undergrad and I was, pre-law. You don't really take those until your junior, senior year. And at that point, I was like, oh, but I'm graduating on time. Like I'm not going to change my major. I remember A Different World. I remember when Whitley had to change her major and added a year. I was like, we're not doing that. We're not adding no year. And my parents had already told me, whatever you do after 4, we paying for 4. Anything beyond 4 is coming out your pocket. So I graduated and a couple of years I did other stuff. I worked at the bank and I did a few little odds and ends things. And I decided to go and be a sub. And from there it is. I was living in North Carolina as a sub. I was a long-term sub in North Carolina. And then I decided to move back home. And it just so happened that weekend that I was moving back home, DC Public Schools was having an open house for teachers. And so I went. It was on a Saturday. I'll never forget. It was a Saturday. And I got there. I think it started at like 9. I was there at 9 o'clock. I didn't leave until 4 o'clock. But when I left, I had a contract in my hand.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I got hired on the spot. They had this whole process. You did the, application. Then you had a first interview. Then you had a second interview. And then they made you an offer. And so I walked out of there with a job and school started in like 2 weeks.
What?
I had to move my whole apartment back to DC. I remember they were paying moving fees. So I got a stipend to move myself back up here. So I literally bought enough clothes. I went back to North Carolina. Like I said, that was a Saturday I got hired. That Sunday I drove back to North Carolina. I packed up enough stuff to just be home for a couple of weeks to get me started. Okay. And then I want to say maybe Labor Day weekend or something. We went down with the moving truck and I moved my whole apartment in like one day.
Wow.
We're there for the weekend. We got up that Saturday morning. When I say we, it was me, my mom, my dad, and I think my sister, somebody else was with us. I called my friends that lived in North Carolina and was like, hey, all hands on deck. I need you guys' help.
Yes.
And we did it in one day. We had a U-Haul. We loaded up the U-Haul. I had a 1-bedroom apartment with, I had basic stuff. It wasn't like I had like a whole house or anything. So I want to say, I think I gave away my living room furniture. I gave it to like a friend of mine. I was like, if you can get a truck over here, you can have it. And I just took on my bedroom set and my kitchen and, clothes. That was pretty much it. I just got out of college. I'd only been out of college like a year and a half. So
right. So
much. But yeah.
See, that it to me is when what's for you is for you, because the way it just lined up. So like boom, 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 boom. You know what I mean? It just, and you never look back.
I mean, I've looked back, but
wait. I love, because people will be like, no, I never look. Or when people say, I don't have regrets. No, there are some regrets I do have.
Oh,
So
I
I
have
like
a
how you
lot of
said,
regrets. Listen,
I look back.
I have a lot of regrets. I mean, there are definitely different decisions I wish I would have made.
Too.
But I don't. But I do believe I'm where I'm supposed to be. Okay. If that makes sense.
Yes, that definitely makes sense.
I mean, I don't feel like I'm at a point where oh my gosh, I wasted so much. No, it just would have been different. It would have looked different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe I'd be in a different position, but I think I'd still be somehow in education.
I like how you can care. You can tell again that you care about the students. That was always important to me with my kids. Like I ran across some teachers that weren't that much older than my kids as they got older in the school system. And it was almost like you have the conversation. My parents said I had to get a 4-year degree. This was the quickest thing, you know, and it was like, well, do you care about the children, you know? But I also did my job as a parent too, where if the teacher wanted to have a conversation with me, I need to listen to all sides, because you have those parents that want to come in and fight the teachers and all.
Again, the parents have changed. You know, again, when I first started teaching, we were allies.
Yes.
Now we're enemies. And it's almost like a divorced couple. What do kids do when they see that mommy and daddy aren't getting along? They play them against
each other.
So if kids know they can go home and tell the parent, well, my teacher did this and my teacher did that, and the parent is going to come up there and defend them sight unseen, well, that's what they play on.
That's what they do. Wow. Okay.
Because at the end of the day, kids are kids.
Yeah, and when you expect that of them almost.
Kids are kids. So if they don't want to get in trouble, they're going to use whatever tools they feel like they have at their disposal to not get in trouble, because they're kids.
Yeah.
You know, I don't begrudge kids being kids. My problem is the adults that act like kids. I don't have a problem with kids acting their age. That's what they're kids. But when you think that a child is telling you the truth, well, I know my kid won't lie. Who?
Right.
Who child won't lie?
Or when they say, I know my child, you know your child, and yeah, you do know your child, which is why you know they're capable, or you know your child within your parameters, not when they're around in a totally different environment.
Right. You know what I used to tell when I taught middle school, junior high / middle school, you know what I used to tell parents when parents would say that to me? I say, listen, kids do it away from you before they do it in front of you. So if I'm telling you that your child cussed at me, which back then it was a big deal. Nowadays, people act like cussing ain't a big deal, but that's another, again, I digress. Ooh, Lord. But if I say to you, hey, your child cussed at me, my child doesn't cuss. Who child don't cuss? You know what I'm saying?
And hasn't at least tried it.
Right. And it'll be those same parents 2 years later coming into the school looking for help because their child is out of control. Oh, they cussed me out. Oh, the same kid that you told me didn't cuss?
2 years ago? Wow.
The same one?
Okay.
I had a parent tell me one time, they said, Mrs. So-and-so, I think you just don't like my child. And I said to them, with all due respect, I'm responsible. I forgot what the number was, but it was over 100 kids. So I'm responsible for over 100 kids every day. I don't have the luxury of disliking your child. If I can identify and point out all of these things that your child is doing, I promise you I'm not making it up. I don't have the energy to make up. Listen, I ain't got the energy to lie.
Especially not on no child.
Not on no child. I used to tell my friends all the time, if a teacher is calling you, listen, don't, because again, and this was before we had classroom, now I have a phone in my classroom and I can call. Okay. But when we had to use our own phones, or we had to call from the teacher's lounge or from the main office, then I got to remember what your child did. Okay. That means that your child did something at 9:00 in the morning and it is now 3:00 and I have been through my whole day and I'm still so worried, upset, mad, whatever word you want to use about what your child did, that I remember that. And now I got to look your number up, because that was before we could get online and just, now I got to look your number up, hope that it still working and it ain't disconnected, and call you to tell you about your child. I promise you I ain't make this up. And that's not to say that all teachers are perfect and that all teachers do the right thing, but to automatically assume that is
yes. My mom taught me something that I took. There was a teacher, and I was in high school. And I will say, I knew that she just didn't necessarily care for me based on some of the things she said, but I didn't make it any better also, right? So my mom told me, you know what my mom told me? She said, and I will never forget this, and it carried me through, and it made me look at teachers as human. She said, she might not like you. Teachers are human. They have feelings too, but don't give her a reason to basically capitalize on that dislike. She already don't like you. So now here you are doing X, Y, and Z. Don't give her a reason. And I was like, you know, oh yeah, they are human too. So they have their
and
likes
we
and
have
dislikes.
bad days.
Yeah.
And I can't say this about all teachers, but I can say this about me. I've apologized to kids. I said, you know what? I snapped at you and I apologize. I was having a bad day, or because I've snapped at kids, and then 10 minutes later, I'm like, oh shoot. And I've even said, so-and-so, my bad. Something was on my mind, or I snapped at you because of something that happened in the hallway. My apologies. And most kids are like, it's okay. It's all right.
Yeah, they just
Most
appreciate.
kids get it. But when we act like we're too big to apologize, or that these kids, oh, well, they're just kids. No, they're people too. And
Yeah.
we are human, and you're right. We do have our favorites, and we do have our kids that we don't. I'm just going to be honest and call a thing. But again, treating you fairly and liking you are two different things.
Yes. Which is, again, I go back to God bless teachers, because most of us in life, other than if it's a boss or disliking little people is one thing, but then having to nurture and still try to make them productive humans is totally different. So I want to ask you a question then.
All right.
You've been a teacher for a while. Say you had to pick two room mothers from the Real Housewives of Potomac, past cast and current cast. What two would you want to be room mothers in your classroom?
Real Housewives of Potomac, past or present?
Mm-hmm. Or you can pick two.
It may surprise people to hear what I'm getting ready to say.
Okay.
Giselle. Because we could say a lot of things about Giselle
I'm
Bryant.
sorry, I froze.
Can you hear me?
Just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
Listen, we can say a lot of things about Giselle Bryant.
Yes.
But one thing can't nobody say is Giselle loved them girls.
Yeah, you're right.
And the best, most authentic scenes that we have with Giselle are when she's with her girls.
Yes.
And I think that Giselle is an active parent at the school. I think Giselle is present at the school. And I do think Giselle, if she signs up for the cupcake sale, Giselle gonna show up with 3 dozen cupcakes more. She signed up for 2, she gonna bring 3.
You're right.
If you send out a list of things you need for your classroom, I feel like she gonna triple it. Like, I don't know that to be a fact, but I feel like, and even so much as she don't care about you, but she want to make sure her girls are good,
and the kids. I think she would care about, to an extent, like the kids. So that's okay. I'm okay. Okay.
And my second one would probably be Karen. And I know people gonna say, you just biased, you like Karen, which I do. Y'all know the grand dame. I love her. But again, I think Karen is old school. And I think Karen was present. Yeah. She was a housewife, and she was present. And I believe she was at them kids' school, her oldest son and Raven. I think she was there. I think she was a PTA active member. I think if she probably ran the fundraisers, and again, I think if I called her and said, hey, Miss Huger, I'm having a fundraiser for my classroom, we're selling some candy bars, I feel like she'd say, I'll take 5 boxes and I'll bring you the money tomorrow. And she might not do nothing with them candy bars, but throw them in the trash. But I just feel like that. I think
that's a good callback. No, I was going to say, not to interrupt you, and I'm sorry to let you finish, but that's a good callback. Remember, I want you to go left and right and up and down. Remember one of the first scenes of Potomac season 1, Karen and Giselle talking about baking the cookies for the kids and all that. So that actually, it goes back to
that. Remember, they met through Jack and Jill.
Yeah. So go left. What would you get ready to say? I was
going to just go through the other ladies.
Oh, please do.
Well, I think that Wendy is probably a present mom in the classroom, but because she's a working mom, I think she's probably present. But I don't know how. I think she's a supportive mom. That's it. Maybe that's a better word. I think she's a supportive mom. Ashley, I don't think I'd want Ashley around. I think Ashley would get on my nerves.
Same.
I don't think Mia know what a school is.
She'd be like, "What are we doing? Really? What are we doing? Can I use
feel
the
like
pink
Ashley
chalk?"
would want me to be like gentle parenting and
Girl.
oh my gosh, have you ever tried to just like have a 5-minute yoga session in between classes? Like I feel like Ashley's that person.
Yeah.
She's that parent that I will be like, I think Mrs. Johnson down the hall was looking for you. Like I feel like I would want her out my classroom. Yeah, I don't think that Mia knows where the school is. I don't.
When she gets there, she wants to use your pink and blue chalk.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like she's going to complain about the desk not being Versace or something. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Oh, that is so funny.
Yeah, I don't think, yeah. Robin, I think Robin would be present for sports activities. Yeah. I don't know if Robin would show up for anything else. Remember, Robin is the one that couldn't get her kids up for virtual school. So.
Yeah. Ooh, oh. You're right. Okay, I'm back.
Sharice was probably a present mom.
Yeah, I think so too.
But I think that Sharice was probably the pushy takeover. My child doesn't do anything wrong, mom. But I think she was there.
Yeah,
she was there. I'm trying to think of the other ones. Monique, I think, is probably a very present mom. But again, I think Monique would get on my nerves because Monique would want to tell me how to run my classroom too.
Yes.
Definitely be like.
And have you smelling oils.
Do you think that maybe you could add more? Girl, what?
Yeah. And smell and Miss So-and-so, did you want to smell this oil before your next class?
Right. I think, are you rubbing peppermint oil on the kids as they walk in the door? That's the lavender oil is very soothing. I think you should have an infuser in the back.
Child, wait.
And
you run to the bathroom and come back and your kids is asleep because she done lavender.
She done lavender them down. Okay. Child, listen, I be like, thank you so much, Miss Samuels, but I'm good. Girl.
That's a good rundown. That's a good. What about NECA? Oh, wait, she's too new, like Mia said this week. That's why she wasn't in the magazine. Yeah.
I wouldn't want NECA nowhere near my classroom.
What? She'd come in with champagne. She'd bring some for you. No, I'm just joking.
Right, exactly. Exactly. She'd come in with her mommy cup, she'd say, get my mommy cup.
Yes. Good morning, Miss So-and-so.
Right. Okay.
No.
Yeah, no, NECA, no. And Candace.
I forgot.
Got me a little worried. Candace got me a little worried. You heard what she said this week?
Okay.
I don't know if you want to be controversial, but did you hear what she said this week? Girl,
and I'm of two schools of thought.
You don't want to have light-skinned kids, but you married a white man. I don't know what to tell you, ma'am. You have to understand basic chemistry. And
how that all works and the probability.
And I'm not saying that don't love who you love. Listen, love is love, and I don't care. It don't bother me. What makes you happy don't make me sing. So I don't care. But girl, when you married a white man, you had to know that if you wanted to have children with a white man, like you should have already reconciled all of that.
Here we go. And also, because I'm of two schools of thought. What gets me, I have to believe. We know that Candace is a smart person, right?
Absolutely.
We know that you've been in this media now for 5 years. Mm-hmm. We know that that your stuff in particular is going to get picked up.
Absolutely.
So I'm now like, you said it this way on purpose, because there is a way to create an actual conversation to say what you said, not I'm fearful of having light-skinned babies. How about talking about how, because you're a darker complected woman, how you may feel with your children, how you may have to struggle with them seeing you not benefit from light-skin privilege, but there's a way to have that conversation. Mm-hmm. And in my mind, you can't just throw that out there without the nuance that comes with it and expect the audience to be able to do the nuance. I was thinking, that whole thing, throw like a girl, run like a girl, girls rule the world, right? If a man were to say, throw like a man, we would be enraged because we know how society views women when it comes to men. Women are the lesser this, we get paid less. When it comes to light skin, dark skin, we know that society does view lighter hued people with a privilege, right?
Right.
She could have went that way and been like, but to just say that, I was irritated because I'm like, you know what's going to come with that. And I wanted Angela Yee to ask her, go further, because you're sitting across from a light-skinned woman. Like, so just to throw that out there and then to cause,
and just let it dangle.
To me, that's a dangerous thing to do. It's she likes to be provocative.
That a lot of, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. Go.
But I think a lot of what Candace does is dangerous. I think Candace throws out a lot of cat calls and lets it sit and then lets it fester. And I think it is dangerous because what I find to be interesting is one of the things she said in that soundbite. I don't know if everybody listened to the whole soundbite, but one of the things she said was about when she was talking about Robin and releasing the text messages and stuff. And she made a comment about Robin believed to be, where Robin has been associated with colorism. And she said, and I want to be very clear, I don't personally believe that Robin is a colorist. But that's not what you've been saying. But again, I said it when I say stuff, we about to go there now.
Come on, let's go.
When I say stuff, because I am lighter skinned, it is dismissed. But I said that last year when Candace was throwing that out there, I said this is a dangerous slope because just because someone is light skinned and first of all, Candace, you're not even dark skinned. You're not. But okay, you're darker than them, fine. But when you just throw it out there, Giselle and Robin, the Green Eyed Bandits, Giselle and Robin, colorism, it is a sounding bell that gets people up in arms. And now everything that happens on that show last season, everything that happened was seen through the lens of light skin privilege. And some things ain't light skin privilege. Okay. Some things, and I said ain't on purpose for somebody to be like, she a teacher. I said it on purpose. But some things aren't about the privilege. It just is what it is, That's like saying every time a white person don't like a black person, it's because they're black. No, maybe they just don't like you.
Yes. And I agree with that, which is why I think stand in your belief. If you believe, because me watching the show, I have felt like whether I think Robin is colorist, no. Whether I do think sometimes it's the audience that actually there may be colorist viewers that are colorist, which is why she or her or Wendy at times, not always, but at times are perceived the way they are. I think so. But what I want her to do is have that conversation. If you don't think they're colorist, you can even say to them, listen, I don't think you're colorist, Robin, but I do think maybe you have a bias that you don't see, because it could open the doors for real conversation. But now it's the audience is so divided about Potomac that nobody wants to hear.
Exactly. Because if we really want to go down Giselle's hit list, Giselle's hit parade, it started with Ashley and Karen.
It did. But Giselle, then again, look, they were the only ones on the cast that they all kind of look alike.
Now that's fair. That is fair. And again, is there an unconscious bias there? Maybe, right. Maybe. But what I'm saying is I think it's dangerous to reduce everything to that. I just think that's dangerous. Now, that doesn't mean that Giselle doesn't have a bias or that Robin doesn't have a bias. I don't know them women. I don't know them personally. And certainly I don't know them as intimately as Candace does. But I think it is dangerous to throw it out there and let it sit. Now, to be fair, first of all, I think Bravo, we went on a whole nother level.
Come on, let's go.
I think that Bravo was reckless in how they handled it.
Yes.
So, and even for the reunion last year when they were going to have the conversation and they voted against it. First of all, that wasn't the arena to have that kind of a conversation. And yes, Andy, I'm glad that you acknowledged that you weren't the person to have the conversation because you are not. But that needed to be a full separate moment. A 1 hour, 2 hour special. Really, that's just going to scrape the surface. Because obviously, colorism is hundreds of years of a cycle in our community. But you need to bring in an expert in that field, somebody that deals with color and race and the unconscious bias. And then
Yes.
let's bring the ladies across all of the platforms. Bring Candy
Ooh.
in. Bring the ladies in. Bring the Married to Medicine ladies in. Hell, throw a couple of them white ones in there because the conversation needs to be had. Because let's be clear, colorism isn't just contained to our community. You have white people that are less afraid or less what's the word I'm looking for? Afraid? I'll just say afraid for lack of a better word of the light-skinned Black than the dark-skinned Black, right?
Yes.
So let's have the conversation. They had it this year on Beverly Hills with Dorit and and Garcelle.
Yeah.
To me, what Bravo should have done, number one, was not make it an option. That's number one. This is a conversation that we're going to have. However, Bravo feels that this is a much more serious conversation that we can't limit to just a segment on the reunion. So we are going to bring in some experts and we're going to let them tell us what that should look like. And what we're going to do, I'm going to take it even further. What we're going to do is we're going to have workshops. We're going to film it, and we're going to give the viewers the glimpse of what we did, because this is more than just checking something off of the checklist.
Yep. Because the conversation is still ongoing, because you're not going to tell me the reason that Andy is all of a sudden going on the Kelly Clarkson show. Was it Kelly Clarkson with
Kelly Clarkson with Wendy and Candace.
Come on. Now, I honestly don't even feel like Andy really cares for Candace, which he has his, just like with teachers, just like with anybody, you have your faves or whoever, but it's very apparent what is happening.
Right. I agree.
It's just, like you said, I just wish I'm glad that they're disrupting systems and having these conversations, but it can't, like you said, it can't just be thrown out there. Candace is too smart to not know what's going to happen.
Right, exactly. And so I agree with you 100% on that. I agree. And but I like what you said. Yeah. And that's why I think what happened with Wendy and and one of the things I'm gonna let you go through your.
No, I want you to go.
Because one of the things you said when we talked about what we were going to discuss, one of the things you said, you asked me about the future of reality TV.
Yes.
And this sort of touches on it a little bit. So that's why I think what happened with Wendy and Nneka was so reckless, right? Because I'm all for conflict. I mean, that's what reality shows are. It's about the conflict. I'm all for the conflict. I have no problem with the conflict. I mean, that's what it is, right? So we have the conflict, we have the resolution. But I do think that some things cross a line so that it becomes reckless. And it started last season with the storyline with Giselle and Chris.
Yep.
I don't understand why more people, because there are a lot of people that do get it, but I don't understand why more people don't understand how reckless that storyline was. You have a woman who says that a man put her in a position in a hotel room where she was uncomfortable, and her story has changed
so many times.
We still don't know whether was the door open or closed, was it locked or unlocked, right? Did you feel like you couldn't move? Was Chris standing in front of the door? And you have put out this very reckless story. This wasn't just a he moment. Right. And rather than back up and say, you know what, Candace, I can understand how what I said may have gone too far. I didn't mean for it to go to the level it went. No, you doubled down, and then y'all proceeded to bring in other quote unquote witnesses to Chris. And then you got Ashley. Well, he slid in my DMs. Like, you're creating. I'm okay with the slid in my DMs. Okay, I'm even okay with the Deborah. Shout out to T. I'm even okay with her saying, well, he looked at me, he smiled at me. That's not reckless. That's silly, and we can laugh that kind of stuff off.
And we have footage showing otherwise. So it's like, girl, you look stupid.
But when you add in that element of almost borderline SA allegations, now that is serious.
Yeah.
And the thing with Wendy and Nneka, again, had it just been a situation where you had Wendy and Nneka not getting along, and oh well, I thought me and Wendy would be like, if they had limited that conflict to Wendy tried to block me from getting on the show, and I knew Wendy's sister, and you got the text messages of when you reached out to Wendy and Wendy blew you off. That would, to me, that would have been cool.
Yep.
That's the kind of mess that happens. We could take it. Hell, we might even be on Nneka's side with that. But well, some people are, but I'm not.
Me neither, right?
Add in this element of tribalism, which a lot of us don't even understand because it is not of our culture, and that now you're putting us in a position to judge something that runs so deep in their culture that people have been shunned, and families for generations have been shunned behind what you're trying to put on Wendy.
Yeah.
I just think it goes beyond what we do on reality TV, and it has become dark, talking about somebody's husband cheating, or I saw so-and-so husband at the club, or so-and-so, so-and-so, I saw them down to the Goodwill. I think they having money problems. That's the kind of stuff we're used to, on reality TV. Remember they talked about Nene shopping at the
Goodwill.
At the Goodwill, right? So like that's but when we start getting into tribal markings and harassment of that nature, to me it gets dark, and I think that's part of what's wrong with Potomac, because people say, well, why can't they just get over it? Some things are not.
Say it. Come on.
Some things we can't just get over, and I'm gonna be honest. I don't blame Candace for not wanting to fool with Giselle. Now Giselle has become the victim all of a sudden, and now, but Giselle said this, and she put my kids in danger. I don't know how she did that, but okay, girl. And so now we're at a crossroads, and now we had a whole season of a terrible season.
And what I will say is, it's interesting because for the good of the show, you would think the Giselles and whomever would know better, since she's purported to be the HNIC in charge. Even Candace said last season, Giselle is dead to me, but even this season, she was still willing to have conversation. I liked how when they were on the beach and they were talking about Candace and Wendy came over and said, "What was y'all talking about?"
Right.
What got me was when Giselle said, "We'll talk about it later." You have all this mouth in your confessionals and when no one's around, but when confronted with it, you have nothing to say. And I truly believe it's because she's afraid that when it comes to conversation, come on, we know Candace and Wendy can have conversation.
Yeah. And I noticed Giselle didn't say anything.
A word. And I loved how Candace was honest. I don't like Giselle, but I wish her daughter well. But even still, that we're at a point where I do believe they'd be able to coexist in a better space without Giselle trying to ice them out, because I know people are gonna say you're reducing the icing out because Wendy and Candace are dark skinned. No, I'm reducing it to because Wendy and Candace cussed her out and she's mad, and she's used to being the head HNIC on the yard. Mm-hmm. And so she's trying to ice them. It makes me so angry. Even this week, she sat in that confessional when they asked her about her father. And what did she say? "We'll talk about that later." She tried that at the reunion last year. It's like, why are you able to do that? And it's so irritating this season to me. I was so disappointed because I go up for our Black girls. So Black show, Married to Medicine, Atlanta, even when people were saying that Atlanta was having a bad season, I'm going to give them numbers because they look like me. But with Potomac, it was like, I'm so disappointed. And, we both live in the area. So it's like,
right.
I am truly disappointed in y'all across the board.
Yeah. And it was funny because, and this is why, and again, Lord knows I hate going back to season 5, but.
Wait, got us in the chokehold. Rodney, the voice the other day, he was like, "Ooh, I almost said season 5, y'all."
Right. Everybody hates going, because last night on the Whether You Like It or Not panel, we went to, and somebody was like, "Oh Lord, not season 5." But see, the thing is, what I find interesting is when people, and we all do it, but when people justify the bad behavior because in that moment we're okay with it. So all the people who were mad at Monique and thought Monique was wrong, They didn't have a problem when they iced Monique out because that's exactly what they did to Monique. They all, for those who don't remember, those last 3 episodes after the fight happened, the only person that would film with Monique was Karen and Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
And Ashley, Monique had a birthday party for her son, and they filmed it. And the only people that showed up was Karen and Ashley. They cut that scene. They didn't include that in the show. And then when Karen met up with Monique, and then of course at her wig launch when Monique came early before the rest of the girls, and everybody was like, "Oh, that's messed up that Karen would film with Monique," and I'm like, but they're icing her out because Andy has told us time and time again, if nobody will film with you, I don't need you. And so nobody was willing to film with Monique for those last couple of episodes because they were trying to ice her out. Now, fast forward to this season when they're trying to do the same thing to Candace. Now, all of a sudden, they're icing Candace out. That's messed up. They won't even say her name. And I'm like, and that is what that conversation in the hot tub was about when they were down to where they go to Dominican Republic, Costa Rica, wherever they went.
Yeah, wait, not Costa Rica.
Wherever they went. I don't know where they went. I'm just glad they left the States, child. I'm just glad they had to pull out their passport, okay?
Listen.
But that is what Giselle was really talking about when she was talking to Karen, when she said, you didn't have my back. It wasn't about her daughters.
No.
It's about, why are you still cool with these people? I thought me and you were good. Why are you still cool with Candace and defending Candace? And like Karen said about Monique, she's saying the same thing about Candace. I'm not taking sides.
And as a grown woman, those are your kids. So in the moment, if I felt
speak up for them,
somebody was looking crazy with my kids, I'm going to say, what's to look for? Whether I'm speaking to you or not. It's interesting how morals or beliefs rather, belief systems when watching these shows fluctuate based on who you like, right? Because I have to check myself too. Like, all right, Taria, you don't care for X, Y, and Z, but was it a fair thing? Were they wrong in that instance?
I have to do it too.
Yeah, I just,
because y'all know I love the Grand Dame, but Karen be lying. But I love her.
Yeah, listen. But you know what's funny?
Listen, Karen can lie now, but I love her.
Karen's lies and Mia's lies don't put people at risk.
Yeah,
they're delusional lies versus a Giselle or a somebody, or like adding sauce on it. So it's like we can laugh at the Grand Dame.
Right, because when Mia couldn't remember her husband's age the other day, I said, I can't. I just can't.
But she can remember she had an inheritance.
Right. Oh, but she got an inheritance from foster care. Child, girl, go sit down somewhere.
Let me tell you something. I would not stay off Mia's neck, right? From the moment she started, there was something about her. I was like, no. So I would be tweeting that. So let me tell you, when I got a little bit, I said, okay, I'm going to give Mia a little bit. So remember when they were in, and I've told this story before for those of you listening, but it just tickled me so much. Remember when they were in Austin and they were talking about Wendy's mom? It was Karen, Wendy, Mia. I don't know if Candace was there or not, but there was a crow. And Wendy said, Mia said, is that your mom? And Wendy got upset. So I tweeted, remember the hotel that they went to, that chicken bingo, which really, I will never, ever forgive them for taking those girls to a place where chickens were pooping on bingo cards. How dare Beverly Hills would never, even Orange County would never. But if
they did, let me say this. And if they did, they would do it as a joke.
Yes.
They would stay for 15 minutes and then they would go to wherever they were supposed to go. Them women would dress like they would get ready to go to a Michelin star restaurant for dinner. And y'all had them sitting in a damn hole in the wall watching chicken shit.
Girl, I was so disgusted. But so the hotel they had to stay at, it was all that construction. So there was cement with cracks in it. So I tweeted basically, and I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember, basically Mia asking Wendy if her mama was a crow, walking back to the hotel, if Wendy had stepped over a crack and looked down and said, is your mom okay? Would Mia have that same energy? Girl, I don't tag people, nothing. Why she got in my comments and said, I would, with a heart. I said, okay, I respect you a little bit. I got to give you got a little bit of a sense of humor.
Right.
But Mia is actually playing it right this season. She's able to go back and forth between both groups. She's able to have conversation. So Girl, I don't know. Let me ask you this.
Sure.
At the reunion, because we see that Giselle has lost her seat. And no matter what people say, we know that these seating charts do mean something. And as much as Carlos Kings, I have a back and forth with him.
Me too.
Girl, it
is.
We know he knows what happens with production. And he said when he was on Atlanta, they would literally have conversations about where they were going to seat people and why. So he said they mean something. So after watching, in your opinion, after watching this season, we see Giselle, doesn't want to say their names, wants to ice them out. Then we get the seating chart, right? And to me, when I saw that seating chart, I said the reunion is going to be interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if all of a sudden now she's able to move forward because, like I'm not as untouchable as I seem. If she comes and says they're able to move forward, would you even believe it was authentic, or would you think it was because of the job? Because yeah, we want them to move forward, but now I'm like, but then if they move forward, is it real?
So my answer is I wouldn't care.
Okay.
As long as they can see, here's the thing.
Oh, you wouldn't. Okay, I get it.
I don't care if it's authentic or not.
Okay.
As long as she's going to do it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because see, let's jump to Married to Medicine for a second. Do you think for 1 minute I believe anything Quad ass said at that reunion?
We can stay at Married to Medicine if you
Quad
want.
is saving her job.
Okay, yeah.
Quad don't mean nothing she said. I shouldn't say nothing. Nothing's a strong word, but Quad didn't mean 80% of what she said.
She was performing.
Quad her job. Mm-hmm. And you know how I know it to be true? Because did you look at the interview that Carlos did with Toya and
Girl, yes, I did twice.
Toya and
Simone, Dr. Simone, yes.
They right back where they started. Simone said, Quad don't call her no more. She said after the reunion aired and they played back what happened when she called out Quad and her goddaughter and everything. Mm-hmm. She said her and Quad were working on their relationship and all of that, and all of a sudden it's been radio silent. She said we right back to where we started. She didn't mean it. Quad is who she is.
Yeah.
Quad looks at you guys like co-workers. And when it's time to show up for work, she shows up for work. And when the cameras are gone, y'all are not her friends. Now, Funky Dineva, who I also have a back and forth.
I was just gonna say,
but one thing he said in his review, he said, y'all, and Carlos even said it at the beginning of this interview, y'all are not doing a good enough job letting us know what's the problem. Because if you're telling me that your problem with Quad is that she's not your friend when the cameras aren't rolling, you're not going to get a lot of sympathy from us, because a lot of us understand that y'all are not friends. Right. Now, do some of the housewives build friendships and they hang out when the cameras aren't rolling? Some of them do.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of them, more than not, that really I see you when it's time to start filming again. And you can tell
they
haven't seen each other.
Yes.
You can tell by how they greet each other, that's the way they catch up.
Yes.
Hell, half the house. It'll be interesting to see the New Jersey. I don't know if you watch New Jersey. I do.
Yeah,
because half of them ain't speaking either. It'll be interesting to see how New Jersey moves. And so I feel like if it's more to the story with Quad, and I understand y'all can't tell us all the business. Now, Dr. Heavenly will tell it all, but she lied too. So, I love Dr. Heavenly. I ain't gonna lie. I love her. I didn't used to like her. When I first started, I didn't used to like her.
I'll be trying. I just can't.
But I do love her. But she does lie. But some of the things she said, Funky Dineva said as well, about her showing up late, about her being rude to people, about her having that attitude. So if that is your issue, which I understand is off-camera stuff, we need to, if you want us to have some sympathy, because honestly, right now, all of the sympathy goes to Quad. Not just because of what happened, but the way
it happened. Yeah. And I don't think they did a good enough job when Toya said, she's not here for me. She's not here for my check. The feedback was, well, everybody's there for their check. If she should have really broken it down, like, how would you feel? Even, I know you're there for your check. I'm here for mine too. But when I have a person who comes and says to me, not, I'm just here for my check. I'm not here for you. I'm just here for my check. Then when the cameras come on, it's, I'm here for you. I would have a problem with that too. But see, then the ladies also need to play it smarter. Either you need to play it the way she plays it on camera. You got it. You're gonna have to figure it out, because like you said, it comes off as like we don't want her around anymore. So guess what?
But let's also put that in perspective. And again, I'm not a quad apologist, because I think that, quad is entertaining, but again, I'm up and down with quad from season 1, right? But let me say this. Let's put that in perspective. People are quick to throw the soundbite out. Oh, yeah. Quad says she's only here for her check. But let's put that in perspective. That was after she wasn't invited on the trip. Then y'all decided to invite her.
That's right. Production invited her.
Right.
You know what?
Let's start from the beginning. She wasn't even invited on the trip. Production called her. And then the person she was supposed to come out there with left her hanging.
Yes.
Come to find out, she lied to her. She gets there and she don't even have a room.
A room. Yeah, you're right. You know what?
And y'all told her she did. See, it'd be one thing if y'all was like, oh, shoot, Quad is on the way. We got to get a room. You told her. Y'all made a whole joke about it. Now, I mean, she didn't know at the time, I understand. But you get there, you find out that you didn't have a room. You weren't even invited.
That's right.
And Phaedra, the one person that you thought you was cool with, blew you off. I probably would say the same thing. I'm only here for my check.
This is why it's good to have these conversations, because I did forget about that. She was not invited. And one thing she did say at the reunion, because now that you're saying that, I go back to what she said and it makes sense. But when she said at the reunion, I was like, When Toya was like, you said X, Y, and Z. And she was like, yeah. But then Toya brought up, but then you said, she said, you said you were there for me. And Quad was like, yeah, or something. And then she said, but then you said you were just there for your check. And she said, that's because I knew you didn't want me there. And at first I was like, see, she lying, but putting it in that perspective, even if she didn't mean it, I wouldn't want you to see that I was her either. So guess what? Whether I was lying or not, I might throw that out there too. I ain't here for you because you're not getting ready to see that you hurt my feelings.
Right. Because what you can't do is tell me that I'm not honoring our friendship, but then you disinvite me from the girls' trip.
But you know what? I wonder, where's the disconnect? When did they off camera then decide not to invite her? Because remember when Toya and Simone and Heavenly and Jackie were sitting around, and Jackie was like, so what you're saying is we should invite Quad. And Toya said, I believe good friends need to try to keep us together. But then we find out that production invited her, which means, so was that whole scene a lie, or did y'all off camera decide, well, we're actually not going to invite her?
Okay. So are we going to call a thing a thing?
Come on, let's do it. Call it really.
Call a thing a thing. I said when I reviewed that episode, and the people who follow me, y'all know I said this when I reviewed the episode. I said, I think that scene was done after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
I do not think that scene happened before they went to Napa. I think that scene happened after they went to Napa. And I'm going to say the same thing now that Simone actually confirmed in her interview with Carlos. She didn't come right out and say it, but she confirmed what Carlos said the same thing too when he was with Heavenly. And I said it on my review. I think that all of that was done. They backtracked on that. Yes. Production invited Quad because Toya really didn't want her there.
Nope.
I don't think. And production invited, and then that whole scene I felt was done after the fact. Let me say this too. Simone confirmed it because Simone even said to Carlos, Simone said, Carlos, do we have the power to send somebody home?
Yes. Yes,
and
she
Carlos
did.
Carlos said, no, you don't. That wasn't, Simone took the hit. Now, I'm going to tell you somebody that need, you were talking about Giselle and her seating chart. I'm going to tell you somebody that need to watch their back. And that's Simone. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to come back to Simone.
Okay.
But Simone took the hit on sending Quad home, but that was production.
Yeah. Because, okay, again, you're right.
And then they turned around and said, well, if I were Quad, I wouldn't have left. I would have still filmed. No, they would have told you to take your ass home. You wouldn't have.
You're right. Yeah, that's true. You're
then
right.
The reason why I say Simone need to watch her back is because production set Simone up twice this season. They set her up with that, and they set her up with that daggone
Hilton Head
trip. Because again, that wasn't Simone, that was production.
And Heavenly
didn't choose no damn Hilton Head.
Yep. And Heavenly said, let's make a show. So I'm going to bring this up, which is interesting because Curtis and Jackie, especially Jackie, said, when we go away with these group of people, Toya is going to bring it up. But it was your homegirl that actually brought it up for the show, to make a show.
Now, do I think that Jackie really, honestly felt some kind of way about going to Hilton Head? Absolutely, I do. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to tell you, listen, see, we about to, if we're going to tell it, let's tell it.
Let's tell it.
I think that's production nudging Jackie. We need something from you,
From
Dr.
you.
Jackie.
Yes.
So if you won't bring it to us, we're going to take it to you. And so we're going to send you to the scene of the crime to get something from you.
Right. Because because production don't care about your feelings. They don't care that it could be opening up a wound, which to me.
And to be honest with you, the way that, because Heavenly acted the way she acted, I think that's why Jackie got away with not having to. They had that one little conversation about it, and then it was never brought up again.
Because Heavenly
showed her ass.
Yeah, she took it on. You are absolutely right. But that is the good point about Simone. She took the hits. Also, remember Mariah's interview with Carlos when she said Simone told her they want me to be the nail in your coffin or something, like they want me to put the final nail in your coffin. Yep. So that makes sense. Also, but it was twice this season. And like she said, she had to eat it and take it.
And I'm going to say this too, going back to the future of reality TV, I think we're getting to a point now where production needs to understand that there is a life cycle for people. At this point, for Married to Medicine, I think that Simone, and I think we have to come up with another title because we don't want nobody to be in their feelings. But I think Dr. Jackie, see, the thing is, I think Dr. Jackie got something to tell, but she ain't gonna never tell it. So Dr. Jackie and Dr. Simone, I think maybe we need to come up with the term senior cast. I don't know. Instead of friend of the show, call them senior cast.
Okay.
But we need to regulate them to that friend of the show status where they show up when they want to show up. They let us in to see whatever they want us to see, and they're not required.
Got you.
Because they don't have nothing else to listen. Dr. Simone ain't got nothing else to give, and it's not in a mean way. But if the best storyline you could come up with was you buying your sons a condo and you stretched that out for 5 episodes, you don't have nothing to give us.
And maybe that's a good thing for your real life. But guess what?
And it's nothing wrong with that. You have a whole practice. You sit on boards. Your kids are grown. Hopefully you ain't getting no grandkids no time soon. You and your husband are in a good space. At least publicly, y'all are in a good space. Y'all are empty nesters enjoying the next part of y'all life. That's what you work for.
Yeah.
And it's okay to say, I don't have nothing else to give. And maybe next season, she's regulated to, like I said, instead of calling her a friend of the show, because people might get offended by that, you senior cast this season.
Yeah.
Girl, we're going to tell you when we filming, and you show up if you feel like it. Now, if next season Miles get a girl pregnant and you want to use that as your storyline, that you becoming a grandmama, come on back down.
Right. You're right.
You know what I'm saying? But it's the same thing. I hate when people say, Candy don't give us nothing. What more can Candy give us?
Rob was going to say there is nothing more.
Giving us everything. We have seen Candy go from a no good boy. Well, I don't know that man personally, but when she came on the show, she was trying to get her money together after going through what she went through with Escape and winning a Grammy and all of that. She gave us her mother issues, her daddy issues. We found out about her brother dying. She was dating the guy with the 10 kids.
Yep.
And then he died. And so she gave us that grief and that process. And then she was single for a couple of years. We saw her dealing with her daughter being a single mom. Then she fell in love with Todd. We saw that love story. And then we saw her and Todd go through the bullshit with her mama. And then we saw her mama's issues. And then we saw Todd and her getting married and the prenup and not the prenup. We saw her blended family. We saw her go through not 1, but 2 pregnancies.
Yes.
We saw her open businesses. We saw businesses work. We saw businesses not work. We saw her take a whole possible felony and turn it into a paycheck. I don't know what else y'all want from this woman. And so when people say Candy don't give us nothing, no, Candy just don't have nothing left to give.
Nothing to give. She's almost like the audience voice at this point. Like she's watching the scene play out in front of her too.
We know that Candy and her husband like threesomes. We know too much about Candy. You know what I'm saying?
And leave them to tell it. It's Candy facilitating
right.
the threesomes. Like we know all of that.
Right. And so if we get a season of Candy sitting back eating, last season they came for her. They tried to make her. Marlo said, we're going to make Candy work. And then you had the new girl. I don't even remember her name now. Like,
oh, me neither.
And so that's what I'm saying. Like at a certain point, I think it's not that these people aren't giving us. It's what is there to give that we care about.
Yeah. I've heard somebody say they believe housewives should be rotated in and out every 3 or 4 years. New ones.
With the rotation, I don't know about the 3 or 4 years. I think it depends on story. Because again, if you have young kids or certain things, I think you have a story. But then I think at a certain point, you you don't have a story anymore.
And then it also depends on your interaction with the cast, because if your story is done there, but you have this real issues within the cast itself that's all interwoven, then it's like we can't take that piece out.
Look at Teresa, right?
Yeah.
So I'm in the process on my channel. I'm doing my throwbacks, although I haven't done one in a while. But the people told me, because I just started watching New Jersey like 3 seasons ago, and no, really be.
Yeah, you have to go back
to the beginning.
Yeah.
So I did. So over the summer, I went back to the beginning, and I did. I said, do y'all just want me to watch them, or y'all want my opinion? They were like, no, we want to know. So I did, like, I call them my retro reviews, right? So I'm doing my retro reviews. I'm stuck in season 4, I think 3 or 4. But I'm
the Italy trip, or did you already see the Italy
trip?
Okay.
The Manzos are still on the show though.
Okay.
Towards the end of their run. Which it's, and let me tell you, okay, see this, I get to talking.
No, I love this is this is why you're here. I love hearing it.
Right. I feel bad about reviewing the older episodes now because I follow a lot of, because I didn't know nothing about the Manzos or nothing. So I started following them on social media. When I tell you I love me some, when I tell you I absolutely, positively, and this is no BS, I would love to interview Carolyn Manzo. I love her. You know what? I didn't think I was going to like her. When I started watching the first season, I said, oh. But I love her. You know why I love her? Because she is unapologetically who she is.
And she is
unapologetic about it. She is an Italian woman who loves her family, who loves her husband, who raises her kids, and she's not apologetic about it. She's good with it. I know she's gone on and, she's done the podcast and she's done other things or whatever. But I love the fact that from where I sit, and I hate the fact, like, I know now she would never do an interview because of the whole thing she's got going on with Bravo. But I would love to talk to her. I love her. I really, really genuinely love her. But I say all that to say this. Look at it, Teresa. Teresa's been on the show for 13 years. She's still giving us storyline. So I'm not going to necessarily say that everybody needs to be cycled out, but I think that it's based on what you can bring me. And if you're not, and again, producers know what they're looking for, but I think the problem is these women become fan favorites and we're supposed to rock the boat.
Yes.
And so, but if you're not bringing something to the show, then it's time for us to rotate you out. And again, you can still be a friend of the show. You can still come to events and
come to the parties. Yeah.
Yeah, but I just think that there's a point where, okay, it's time. As much as I loved Lisa Vanderpump, it was time for her to go. I mean, I don't like how
I
she
loved
left.
her too, but that's it. How she left, yeah.
But she wasn't giving us nothing.
And then we watched Kyle in this reunion say it's none of our effing business.
Right, but Kyle was all in Lisa's. Well, Kyle, girl, don't get me started on her.
Kyle has that can I just say this? From season 1, I have never seen it for her. And I have tried. Oh, good. I'll give her this. The same thing we give Giselle. She's a good mother. She's a good, that you could tell she loves her girls, all of that. But I have never, ever seen it for Kyle. There's just something about her that gives me, and this is no shade to the younger siblings. I'm the oldest of 3 and I'm the only girl. But it's that younger girl sibling syndrome. That's like, No, I want to talk about it. My feelings are going to be heard no matter what. But because we're going to, it's like a bratty feeling she gives me, and there's something about her that just
Well, I say Justice. I always felt like so I watched season 1, right? I watched Housewives from the beginning. That season finale, I will never forget the limousine.
Girl, that now people use the word iconic on these new housewives too much. That right there was
iconic.
Iconic scene. Ooh, he stole.
That was iconic.
I just think I got chills thinking about it.
From there, I always looked at Kyle as the kind of person that when she feels like her back is against the wall, she will throw anybody under the bus, including her family. Because that's what that moment was.
Yeah.
For those who don't know what I'm talking about, Kyle and her sister in the limousine on the season finale, and they got to arguing, and Kyle told the whole world that her sister was an alcoholic and a drug addict, and how her and her husband had to pay to send her sister to rehab, and we were all like, what?
Yeah. Like, wait a minute. Like,
hold on. And I don't remember if they had a reunion that season, because I remember that was the season finale and the episode was just done. And I don't know if they had a reunion. They might have, but that was
got me thinking. I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember it. Now you're gonna have me go look it up.
I don't remember and I guess they did because because New Jersey had a reunion. So if New Jersey had a reunion, I'm sure Beverly Hills did, but I just don't remember the reunion.
Yeah.
But I mean, we were all like, whoa.
Yeah.
And that's what that says to me. What cracks me up about Kyle is this, and going back to what you said about Candace, Kyle is not stupid. And Kyle understands the game more than some of us, because Kyle was in the business before Housewives.
Yes.
So Kyle absolutely understands appearances and what things look like and what you put out there. There's absolutely no way in the world that this Morgan thing was accidental.
Come on.
Kyle, you knew exactly what you were doing. Whether you are really truly involved with this woman or you just want it out there because either you're trying to make Mauricio jealous or you're trying to help this woman's career, whatever the situation is, you absolutely knew what you were doing by putting her out there, by the pictures y'all took, the way y'all took the pictures, even what you filmed with her. Like, you could have went to lunch with that woman, but you decided to film you guys exchanging tattoos and you literally tattooing your initial on her body. And we're supposed to sit here and be like, oh, that's normal. The hell it is.
I don't care if my friend had a sleeve over her entire body. It wouldn't be the first thing to think of.
But it wouldn't mean, but even if I did it, it would mean something.
But you're right.
You're trying to make it seem random. Like, oh, well, we were just there. We were just hanging out and I decided to write a K on her torso. Ma'am, no, that's not how that works.
Yeah. But like you said, Kyle knows the game. She's managed, because here we are talking about other housewives. They're not giving us anything. She's managed to still be the talk of the season without revealing any information.
She knows exactly. She knows what she's doing. She's not. And that's why when I'm looking at the reunion, and that's in my review for the final episode, I said that. I said this part 3 was all about Kyle. And you're not fooling me, Kyle. Like, there was no reason to bring Kathy out there. None.
And you know what it proves? If I was the other ladies, you know how she wanted the ladies to have her back when it came to her sister, right? She got mad with Sutton. Kathy also wanted them to have her back, and Dorit. But then what really got me was, we know why Kathy was there. Kyle, you were mad at Sutton. Sutton said, you've already lost one sister. You don't want to lose another. All of a sudden, that sister comes to the reunion. And when Sutton gets carted off set, the sister says, she knew I was going to come for her. Now, why would you be coming for her unless Kyle was running back everything you said? This is why no one is going to get in between sisters, no matter how much you argue and fight. At the end of the day, Kathy was there to come. She said it out of her mouth. Now, I don't know if you've seen it. Now she's online. Somebody tweeted something about Kathy and Sutton. And Kathy was like, I'll have to ask her. We're going on a girls' trip in a few weeks. I think they are afraid of Kathy, exactly like they said. And a little birdie that may or not reside in Beverly Hills had told me about 2 years ago that when Kathy was first coming on, that the ladies is afraid to piss Kathy off because of her social connection. So what Erica was saying was right on the spot.
Listen, Erica Jane is a lot of things. But I think on that one, I think she absolutely was telling the truth and dead on. And what I love, and listen, I was an Erica Jane fan, and then I wasn't because of this whole thing that happened with her husband and the way she handled it. Because again, I'm not mad at her for her husband being a crook. I'm mad at the way she carried herself. That's another conversation. Mm-hmm. But the one thing, Erica stands in her shit, good, bad, or indifferent. And the way that Erica sat next to Kathy, when Kathy came out there, Erica sat next to Kathy, and when Andy brought it up, Kathy and Erica was like, yeah, like she didn't. And what I did, you keep when Kathy said to Erica, she said, well, Erica never has. She said the one thing Erica has never cared.
Yes,
about social standing. She said even when she
was married to Tom.
Even when things were good with Tom, she never cared about getting invited to the Hollywood party. She never cared about that status. And it was almost a backhanded compliment.
Yes.
But it was a compliment from the point of view of, I see you, witch.
Yes.
I see you. But it was also that backhanded, like, yeah, you know you don't get invited to the right parties. You know you're not in that social circle. But
so it makes sense for you not to care. Yeah.
Yep.
That was good. And because after her just saying it last year, Kathy called the DJ like you said, she sat right next to her. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Right. Erica did it. And that's
flinch.
But you definitely can tell that there is, and let's be clear, those stories didn't start with Housewives. Like those stories have always been out there about Kathy. And listen, somebody told me, and when they brought it up, I said, I didn't even think about it until they brought it up. They said, listen, the only reason why Kathy Hilton came on that show was to try to fix her image after Paris came out with that documentary.
Girl,
she talked about what her parents sending her and how her parents treated her. Now all of a sudden we're getting hunky dory and we're getting the quirky old lady with the fan that she can't live without. And Kyle, how do you plug a fan? I put eye drops in my ear or ear drops in my eye, Kyle. Like we're getting this crazy old lady act, right? But then you want me to turn around and believe that she's one of the most powerful women in Hollywood circles. Like you got to give me one or the other. Like you can't give me both. But in hindsight, I look back on it and I'm like, you know what? Mission accomplished. She came in. She was a friend of the show, so she never had to fully commit.
Yep.
She gave us the image, all the while selling her products, because everything she did, she was hawking her product. Because most of us don't know Kathy Hilton. So we got the hunky-dory, quirky Kathy Hilton until that incident down to the club.
And then, yes.
And then
they wouldn't do the conga line.
Right. And then she exited stage left.
Yes, she did. In a blaze of glory.
And humped her ass over the Peacock and was on Paris's reality show.
And what's also interesting, like you said, girl, me and my husband watched that documentary that Paris did. The way she depicted the way them men basically kidnapped her, woke her up out of bed, kidnapped her and took her to that place where she suffered ABUSC. But also, even recently, Paris came out and basically didn't want her mom to know her children or know about her children.
She didn't know. Remember, she didn't know. She didn't tell her.
That tells you a lot about Kathy. But like you said, she came out with this, who is hunky-dory, and even letting herself be filmed getting made up this year. I said, now, come on.
Let me tell you something. I told my people, I never saw a housewife out of glam until the Real Housewives of New Jersey. Listen, them ladies just don't care. That Marge don't care. She will be filmed. Marge don't care about no glam. She lets herself be filmed, no makeup, eye patches, hair in a ponytail.
Really? Do you watch New York?
I didn't watch the original New York, no.
Girl, if you ever on a rainy or a Saturday where you just don't want to get out of bed, or a Sunday, please start watching it. You think the Jersey ladies are filmed no matter what? honey, these ladies, sometimes it's like a jump scare, like, ooh, like, oh, okay, that is how normal people look.
Wow.
And let me tell you, with New York, talking about rotating, New York is the only cast other than now this new New York, but previous in season 5, they did away with everybody, I think, except for 2 or 3. They did a whole entire new
So this
cast,
is
and it
so this
worked.
isn't the first time New York has sort of kind of done.
Nope,
I mean, I
nope.
know this is a total reboot, which is different, but okay.
Yeah, so I'm telling you, on a day when you just want to lay in bed, because when you were talking about the Upshaws, you were like, I can watch 3 episodes, but I'm not getting ready to watch 10 in a row. I'll watch 3 if I'm laying in bed. One day, please, I beg of you to
My
watch
niece tried to
the
get me to
old
watch
New
New
York.
York. She tried to get me into New York. We watched a couple episodes together. But you know, it was just funny because I'd never seen that because I never watched New York. I watched one season of OC and I couldn't. But that's another one. Bador let herself be filmed with her makeup on too.
Girl,
yes. She's a mess. But baby, them New Jersey, I say, because
they don't care. They don't care.
Even the old episodes, Teresa. Now she will never do it now.
No.
But back then, Teresa used to not always be in glam.
They did not. Remember when they were on the Italy trip and she was like in shape and she was the only one like wearing the bikini, and she came out and they were all like, you know, she's in the bikinis. You know, Albie just the Manzo's son just had is pregnant, having a baby boy.
Yeah, and they had their he had his big wedding a couple of months ago in Italy.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's oh, you're into okay. Oh, okay. So you haven't reached the Melissa and Joe seasons yet.
Yeah, I'm at Melissa and Joe.
Okay. So
yeah,
knowing what you know now, the beginning, how do you feel about Melissa and Joe?
I'm going to be honest with you. How I feel about Melissa and Joe, it really fluctuates from episode to episode because there's some episodes where I'm really team Joe and Melissa, and I'm like, well, I get it. And then there's some episodes where I'm like, okay, girl. So here's what I think. I absolutely believe Teresa when she says she didn't know they were coming on the show.
Me too.
And part of that, well, one, Carlos confirmed it, but he used to work on New Jersey, so he confirmed it. But even before that, because of the way they came on the show, Melissa she came on really strong. It was like she was trying to prove a point. She was trying to prove her status. So I believe that. However, I also believe that Teresa never liked Melissa. And it didn't matter what Melissa did, Teresa was going to hate Melissa. Do I think that do I think that the parents bear some blame in there? And of course they're passed away. So, you know, I ain't trying to talk about the departed, but I do think that there's some blame to bear from the parents. But yeah, I think that, you know, the thing that irritates me about Teresa, and she still does it even to this day, Teresa has a very one-sided way of looking at things. And again, like, let's go back to season 2 when they had the big fight down to the what's the place called where they always go? The Manzos own it. You know what I'm talking about.
Brownstone.
The Brownstone. Look, I was going to say the Townhouse. The Brownstone.
Shut up.
I was going to say the Townhouse.
The Townhouse. Oh my gosh.
But let's go back to even that. Now, let's be clear. Old girl was crazy. What's her name?
Danielle.
Danielle's crazy as hell. Now,
that's enough.
Danielle is crazy as a bed bug. But let's go back to that night. Danielle was leaving.
Yes.
Teresa speaks to Danielle. Danielle speaks back. But because Danielle didn't speak the way Teresa wanted her to speak, now Teresa antagonizes a situation. Teresa, you chased that woman through that place.
Girl. With that black and gray and white fur, right?
Yeah. And for the rest of the season, you played victim.
Yep. And she does it now.
She does it that's what I'm saying. She still does it. She does it every time. Teresa, like Teresa can play victim like nobody's
It's business.
business.
Oh, what
And she
about
guilt her friends into this sense of loyalty.
loyalty?
Oh my
Come
gosh.
on.
And
Come on.
that's why her and Dolores gonna fall out.
So that's what I'm wondering.
And let me tell
When
you something.
is
That's my girl right there. Now, if
Dolores?
you think I love me some Karen Huger, baby, Dolores is my girl. I love me some Dolores. Oh, I love me some Dolores. That's my
She's
girl
very
right there.
sweet. And I met her at BravoCon briefly. She's very
Really?
sweet. Yeah. She's very sweet.
I want to do BravoCon. I don't know if my pockets want me to do BravoCon, but
I think you should go. I definitely think you should. I'll say
want to go.
this.
It's on the list.
Everybody that loves Bravo should go at least once. I really do believe that.
Yeah. But so is it going to be in Vegas again this year?
I think so. They haven't said, but I think so. I know they said with New York, like the last year, and then there was COVID years, and then the year before there wasn't like always enough time to get to the venue. But where they had it in Vegas, everything was in the same building. It was very easy.
Where was it, at the convention center?
I want to say yes. Caesars something. It was attached to Caesars.
Okay, I know you're talking about. Yeah.
So it was
did you
very.
Stay at Caesars?
No, I stayed at the Link, which I could leave the hotel where my room was. I could leave the hotel and just like literally walk steps and be right into the Caesars. Mm-hmm. So what happened was I had a listener sponsor my trip for me. Yeah.
If you're looking for somebody to sponsor this year,
my boo really big. She gets very good content. Very
if
good.
Anybody want to sponsor me?
Listen, and look, and you don't even have to do it at once. We can start now. We can put it in a fund.
Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. If somebody could just pay for my ticket, because I'll get my flight and I'll find my accommodations. But if I could just get a ticket,
because baby, let me tell you,
that's
shout out to Jill.
Expensive.
It was when I tell you, and doing this, people say, oh, I hate. Sometimes people get on these kicks. I don't like social media. I don't like that, and I get all that. But for me, I've met some really amazing people out of this and listeners as well. And her and I we started having conversations about a year and a half prior when I started the podcast. And we learned a lot about each other, which is funny. She lives in our area. She lives in the DMV. Okay. So she very much felt, and what I respected about her is she is a white woman. And she said, I want to give this to, she had got it for herself and wasn't able to go. And she said, I feel like more Black content creators need to be in those rooms. And I really respected her for that. Yeah, I really respected her for that because she's very much like, and it's so, I love Jill. I was having issues with fibroids, didn't know I had them, didn't know, just happened, ended up in the emergency room in August.
Oh, no.
And they were saying, girl, call my gynecologist. This is August. I'm in the emergency room. We can see you in November. Ma'am, I'm sorry. What? November.
Girl, I know.
So Jill said, "Listen, I will come up." And she was like, "I acknowledge white privilege, all of that. Her and her husband are great." She was like, "I will come up there and use this privilege if I have to."
Okay, and will, and I ain't mad about it. I said,
"Come on, Jill," but I just appreciated her because talk about there's so many allies in different sects, whether it's LGBTQ plus, whether it's here, whether it's there, but they're allies in private. And she's an ally publicly, which I appreciate that about.
Well, I start putting my money aside because I do want to go. I wanted to go last year, but I had like back to back. I went to LA in December and I went somewhere else.
You be going a lot of places because you were going somewhere else.
Yeah, it was.
I thought I was getting in your
Atlanta.
luggage.
Did I go to Atlanta? I went somewhere, or New York. I don't know, but I went somewhere. But I knew I had like back-to-back trips, and I just between financially and the time off work, it just was a lot. Like I said, it's the tickets for me. Like the flight, I can find a flight. Find somewhere to stay in Vegas. That ain't nothing but a thing.
Yeah. But I told my husband that I was gonna go. He was like, "Excuse me," and of course he's like, "Yes, of course I want you to go." But he was like, "Girl, them tickets is." how much, but I did say, if I never went again, I'm glad that I went
Yeah, and I could get
last
it. I
year.
could dig it. Like one of the things that floored me at the Kempire meet and greet was Kempire knew who I was.
Really? You don't know that people really know you?
No, no, real talk. No. Real talk. I went and for
Wow.
the meet and greet, when people were like, coming up to him and like, I'm so and so and I'm so and
Yeah.
so, because they were his subscribers. So I went, but I was like, he was like, I know who you are. And I was like,
and he's not lying.
he was like, I didn't know you lived here. And I was like, yeah, I'm DC girl. And I was just like, and I'm real talk. Like, I'm not saying that to BS. I promise you, I was like.
But there's something about your spirit too. Like I said, when I first walked on stage and saw your face, I was like, she's going to be my safe point. And that's why, and I kept looking, but again, I didn't want to come off as creepy, like, why is this girl looking at me? But when I was sitting up front, because you have those lights in the people, and you were hello again. I literally put my hands on you when you were in line. So
yeah, because you were handling the question,
yeah,
the
and
question
I was
and
like,
answer. Yeah.
like all over you. And because there is something about you, which doesn't surprise me why you are a teacher and why your students probably love you, because there's just something.
Some of them do. Listen,
comforting.
They love me or love to hate me. It's all
either
good.
one. But either way, you evoke an emotion.
It's all good either way.
Either way, you evoke an emotion. Yeah. But what I loved about going this year, and I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it. Seeing the housewives and all that, and the other reality people, that we can get in touch with these people. We can interview these people.
Yeah.
And I always said, I'm not paying to see nobody. I said, I'm the only way I'm going is if I'm sponsored. I'm running my mouth thinking it may come from a company, not a person, right?
Right.
I was excited to see other content creators, the other Black content creators. That's why I was so excited to be there. It wasn't even about, yes, it's about the housewives in theory, but it was about it's something when there's a group like you in a room, right? Of course, I love all the content creators I listen to, white, Black, Asian, all that. But there is something about like how we can watch a show. We could watch The Real House of Beverly Hills and immediately spot the Dorit and Garcelle thing. Sometimes like, without even saying anything. And then we can have those conversations at the kitchen table and then bring them to the platform. So I feel like there needs to be more at the Potomac panel. Rachel Lindsay was the moderator. She's been on the podcast, and I talked to her about it from a moderator perspective. And she said, looking out over the crowd, for all you saw mostly in the Potomac panel was white folks.
Well,
very rare. There was hardly any of us there.
And I think, because honestly, one of my favorite, although again, I see things through a different lens now, but one of my favorite franchises was Dallas. And honestly, towards the end, Dallas was probably one of the most problematic, which is part of the reason why I think they put it on hiatus. Because I think they tried we're going to hire a couple of Black people thing, and it kept getting worse. Like more and more stuff kept happening, and I think they were like, you know what?
Yeah, because girl, some kind of way a fly got in here. Right. It keeps bothering me. Like, right. But weren't they going to film after that? Weren't they in the process of actually filming after that last season with the Black people? Right. Okay.
I did a story on it. They had hired 2 Black women. One was a former somebody's wife, a former athlete. Yeah. And then there was another woman who was like a big time. She owned some sort of business, but she was like big time in Dallas. Like she was well known in Dallas. And you see, Claudia has even told Andy she will be interested in being on the reboot. I think that because we had Leanne and her issues. Now I love Leanne, but Leanne was crazy as a bed bug, right? But we had Leanne and the Mexican thing, right? Then we had what's the redhead?
Brandy, girl.
I didn't like Brandy. But then we had Brandy and her Asian with the Chinese lady doing the Chinese imitation, the nail tech thing, right? Okay, so we had that. And it was so funny how Brandy tried to like really hold Leanne's feet to the fire.
Girl.
And then come to find out you did the same thing. And then we have so they tried to correct that by bringing Tiffany Moon on, right? Dr. Tiffany Moon, where they totally disregarded and disrespected her culture the whole season.
Girl.
Only to get to the reunion, and we've got the pink girl.
Cameron Westcott.
Then we've got Cameron Westcott and her husband and her brother-in-law and their Trump ass.
Girl.
And making some of the most racist comments, right?
Your culture is my something, like my entertainment or something. I was like,
right. And so I think, because I did a video on that too. And so I think with Bravo, it was kind of like, well, damn, we can't get past one before here comes another one. And I think at that moment, it was like, you know what? Because they did that, like I said, they hired Tiffany Moon, they hired a couple of black girls. I think they had actually started filming, and then I think they were just like, you know what, we just need to take a pause,
a real pause. Yeah.
We needed to, and remember, Brandy wasn't coming back because her husband got caught in a cheating scandal, so she wasn't going to come back.
Yep.
They had fired Leanne. And I don't think, and I'm gonna tell you, if I'm telling the truth, this is what it is. I don't think they wanted to fire Cameron, and so rather than fire Cameron,
come on,
they just put it on pause.
Girl, I didn't shook my camera. You see, like I was,
and I honestly think that's probably what's holding them up from bringing the show back, because I don't think I don't, because listen, the reality of the situation is the Westcott name means something.
Yes,
and it is old white money.
Yep. And I was getting ready to say that's one of the things that was disappointing to me was you would rather cancel the franchise, just like with New York. You would rather not have a reunion with Ebony because it's too far gone, because you don't want because you still want it to work with these people. Hence Real Housewives, Ultimate Girl Chick with Ramona and all of them. And I would always say, let's be clear. Black folks who watch New York, we knew what we were dealing with Ramona, but we know we didn't have to deal with, we knew Ramona, we knew the Ramonas of the world. So we watched it through that lens. When 2020 happened is when the white audience was like, oh, wait, huh? What's going on? What happened?
That's not okay. And it's like, girl, what you mean that is, and I think that's what it was with Dallas, because
yes,
Dallas ran into, it ran into the pandemic too. And I really think that's what it was. I think it was like, yo, this is just too much. Like the hits keep coming. We can't.
They can't catch a break.
We can't. Right. And I think it was easier for them to scrap it, let it sit on the shelf for a couple of years and hope people forgot. But the problem was, while you were hoping that people forgot, that's when COVID hit and Black Lives Matter. And now people are more conscious. So what you thought was going to blow over in a year or two has now really slapped you in the face. And honestly, I don't think you bring back Dallas without addressing it.
Yeah, because it was so big, especially if you're going to bring back Cameron Westcott.
And I think you have to bring back Tiffany.
Yeah.
First of all, Tiffany has become such a social media influencer. Like her social media is hilarious.
You should, I should send you the episode. She came on the podcast and she was very vulnerable and very real.
Let me tell you something. See, listen, I tell people all the time, real money whispers.
Come on.
Right? Tiffany Moon's money, it whispered, because there were things that, yes, it's obvious, right? You're like, oh my gosh, she's got money. But baby, when we went into her house, I ain't talking about her closet, baby, when we went into that wine cellar.
Yes.
when we walked down into that cave under her house, into that wine cellar. Mm-hmm. Listen, the closet is great. That's fine. All the housewives got one of them.
Right.
Baby, when we walked into that wine cellar in the basement.
You know what did it for me? And I don't laugh, but the pizza oven's in the back. I said, to have this at your disposal.
Okay. So it's funny to me because those are the things that I look at when I look at these housewives. That's the stuff I pay attention to. Yeah. I pay attention to the quiet money. The loud money don't mean nothing to me. And to me, that's what Carolyn Manzo was. I mean, I don't know their net worth, so I'm not saying they're billionaires. They're not that. But when you look back at New Jersey, the year it started, and you look at their house, you know what I'm saying? That was a nice house then. right? You look at the fact that they owned a couple of businesses. You look at the fact that they drove nice cars. Mm-hmm. But you also could look at Carolyn's closet and know that she'll go to Target and pick up an outfit just as fast as she'll go to Nordstrom.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But did anybody ever doubt that they had the money that they had?
No.
Nobody ever doubted it.
Nope.
She didn't have to come up with a different Chanel bag every scene. She carried that same Louis Vuitton for 3 seasons. She didn't care. You know what I'm saying?
He wasn't on camera buying furniture cash.
Girl.
And look what happened. Come on.
I ain't nobody know something was wrong. Like, these people did not know something was wrong.
Come on. Like, that's how y'all operate in Jersey? And I'm from born and raised Jersey. Like, that's how y'all, oh, okay.
Listen, when they went to they even paid like that when they went to the grocery store to get the food for Thanksgiving. Yes. I said, damn, y'all didn't even got a debit card for the grocery bill.
Maybe it was like Dorit. They had just went to the bank and put it in the bag.
I have never liked Dorit. I've never liked Dorit.
Me neither. And not only that, she was more tolerable. Not even.
I never trust a fake accent.
And look at the switch up, though. She went from being at least engaged and seeming like a version of herself. And then when Erica Jane came on, all of a sudden, Dorit, her fashions. Now, Dorit wasn't giving us anything anymore. She had a crush. Do you remember her first season when Eden Sassoon was on there? Girl, they were at a gathering. And Dorit was so taken with Eden Sassoon. Girl, it was a girl crush that if you have not seen it, I need you to go back.
I don't remember.
I'm going to find the episode and tell you which one and watch it. And for those of y'all listening, you could clearly tell, even Eden was kind of like, oh, okay. Listen. She was taken with her. But then all of a sudden, she became this, fashion became her thing. And it was like, well, when did this happen? Now you're even less real.
But again, it's no offense to the Real Housewives of Atlanta, but it became Real Housewives of Atlanta fashion, not Beverly Hills fashion.
Yes,
I will never forget. It was a couple of seasons. I think it was the season with Vanderpump. I think it was that last season with Vanderpump, and they met somewhere to have a conversation about something. You know,
her, Kyle, and Dorit.
I don't remember who it was. No, because Garcelle was there too, but she had on a Louis Vuitton trench with the logo, with Louis Vuitton boots, a Louis Vuitton blouse, and a Louis Vuitton bag. And I said, if that ain't a goddamn Marlo Hampton outfit, I don't know what is.
Either that or an income tax outfit.
I said, who does that?
All of that. Yes.
Unless you're going to a Louis Vuitton fashion show or something, who does that?
Yes.
And I remember the reason why I know Garcelle was there because Garcelle said something about it. Because Garcelle was looking at her like, let me be clear. That Louis Vuitton trench she had was bad as hell. Now that trench coat she had, that Louis Vuitton, baby, that thing was bad. And I would have listen, if I had that kind of money and I had the body, I'd buy the Louis Vuitton trench, but I'm not going to wear the Louis Vuitton
with boots,
everything else with it. Like that's correct. That is so gaudy to me.
Hold on, I need to check to make sure. Oh, yes. I was going to say, I thought we had some late breaking news come in. I was going to say, somebody sent something to my phone. I was going to say, wait a minute. But I think we've all seen it. This won't come out till Friday, so we will have all talked about it. But shout out to my boo, Dan. I wanted to talk about this in a video. Karen getting into the accident.
Oh, the grand dame.
Okay. I know what my first thought was when I saw it and when I read that basically she was driving out of control. I know what my first thought was. And I don't know that to be true.
I know what you're thinking, because I'm probably thinking too.
I just wondered if maybe she was sleepy from the alcohol that she may previously had drunk before. That was, I'm not even gonna lie, that was my first thought.
And I think that's the insinuation, but what they did say was that she wasn't arrested and she wasn't taken away. So if that's a suspicion, then either either her privilege, either her celebrity got her off, or she didn't fail the test, But I don't know anything to be.
Or maybe she was, you know what? She's going to see a trainer and her arms were tired from
You
working
know
her arms and
what?
she lost
Y'all not
control
gonna
because
do
she
my
caught a cramp.
girl. Y'all
She
not gonna
caught
do my girl.
But in all seriousness, I'm glad that she was okay.
Yeah, I'm glad
And nothing happened to her and nothing happened to anybody around her. What did Ashley say the season with Monique? We had some drinks at lunch, and make no mistake, I make no mistake. Okay, anyway. Have you ever met, since we both live in there, have you ever met Ashley in person?
No.
Okay. Oh, child.
It's funny because so this sort of goes back to my origin story, but
Okay.
I used to do a radio show, right?
Really?
Spikefish, shout out to Spikefish Radio. I used to do you know We Act Radio in out of Anacostia, DC? It's just it's a local, like one of those local radio stations.
You said We Act?
Uh-huh.
WEAC. Yes, I've heard WEACT.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I used to do a radio show on We Act Radio called Spikefish Radio with my boy Earl, aka Spikefish, right?
Okay. Wow.
It was him, myself, and we had another guy on there who was like our shock jock, right? He was our Dr. Umar, right?
Okay.
And
how long ago was this?
This was at least 8 or 9 years ago, and the reason why is because that's when they first made the announcement that they were doing a Real Housewives of Potomac.
Oh, okay.
And Earl knows Ashley, and Earl loathes, whatever word you want to use, reality TV. And I remember him being mad. He was like, I don't know why she would do this. Why would Ashley want to be on a reality TV show? Earl used to frequent the bar when Ashley was the bartender and the bar that Michael owned. He was there when they started dating. He's known them.
Okay.
And he was like, I don't understand. Why would she do this? Why would she do this? Why? So he's been in a couple of episodes from season 1, like her birthday party when Michael gave her the Porsche. He was there. He was at the party, and it was another scene. Make me
go back and watch now.
Yeah, it was another scene from season 1 where he was there. So I'm 1 degree of separation. So I'm 1 degree of separation from a couple of them, but not.
Okay.
Yeah, I've met Karen. I'm 1 degree of separation from Monique. I probably could have met Monique if I pushed the bar, but I didn't.
Okay.
I actually found out that I'm 1 degree of separation from Karen. I mean, from Giselle. A friend of mine, come to find out that she's friends with Giselle's sister.
Okay. Oh wow.
The sister that Giselle never talks about.
Yep. And she never talks about her brother either.
And they said that and according to this friend, she would never be on the show.
Okay.
She said we will never see her.
Okay.
And I think part of why Giselle doesn't talk about her family is because they won't come on the show.
Yeah. So yeah.
I mean, think about it. The only person that even filmed was her dad.
Yeah. And I think he liked the camera.
Yeah. But the brother, the sister, her mom, because didn't her mother pass now?
No, her mom is alive, but I don't think her mom liked the camera because she seemed like she was very close with her dad and almost like that mother-daughter type thing a little bit. That's what I got.
So her sister, because her sister actually went to Hampton. So this is somebody that went to Hampton with her sister. They became friends at Hampton, and they're still friends to this day. And so she lives. I don't remember where she lives. Don't quote me on it. I don't know if she lives in the area anymore. But she was like, yeah, she'd never be on the show. Like she'll never be on the show.
Okay.
I'm 1 degree of separation from Candace. But yeah, that's about. And when I say 1 degree, I mean like I know somebody that's friends with
that exactly.
Like I know people that went to Howard with Candace that are cool with Candace that get invited to Candace's house when she has cookouts and stuff like that. But part of going back to what you said when you were introducing me, because I've had some of my subscribers say, "Why don't you go? Like if you could get invited or people invite, why don't you try to?" And I'm like, you lose your objectivity when you are around them.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's honestly why I don't even like doing a lot of interviews, because I find myself, you meet the people, you talk to them, you have these conversations, and you're like, I really like them. Like, they're really cool people. Or you think the opposite. You think that,
Yes.
then you find out not so much. And I do think it changes your objectivity. I don't have a problem doing interviews after the season, but I've learned, and I learned from doing it, where you do you do interviews before the season or at the beginning of the season, and you lose your I can't speak for
I
other
know
people.
what you mean.
Some people can do it and it's not a problem, but for me, I lose my objectivity. And
Mhm.
I know I've done it in the past. And so I've had to kind of be like, okay, I'll do interviews, but I want to wait. I want to kind of see how things fall, how things play out. So yeah. Like, and there's some people I've reached out to for interviews and they don't reach back. And I'm like, I'm not kissing your ass. Like, I asked you.
I'm in the middle of that right now, girl. Let me tell you.
I'll tell you off camera. It's been a few people. I'm not going to say it publicly, but I'll tell you off camera. A few people.
I'm glad you said
that. And I've even had people who are like, "Oh, I'm going to call her and tell her to look out for your email."
Yeah. Oh, girl, yeah. Well, speaking of interview, I was supposed to say this in my intro because I was thinking about my intro for you before we got on.
That's all right.
I wanted to say that, y'all, for those of y'all that watch Love and Marriage DC, and for those of y'all that don't, I think it's across the board. Really just interviewed, you just interviewed the Duncans, Sherelle and Black. And I messaged you this. I love interviews. I love doing them. And I love watching other people do them because I feel like that's where you get to know people. What I loved about the way you interviewed them, sometimes viewers will say, interview so-and-so on your channel. And they want you to, sometimes if they don't like them, come at them, say this. We know that that's not, number one, that's not professional. Number two, you can't do that. But what I loved about you was you didn't put them in a position of defense. You were very honest and say, look, this is what we're shown. This is what's being said. This is what's playing out. I would really like to hear your side. So you didn't put them, they didn't come on feeling like, because I've seen interviews where the person, to me, I felt like I would almost be on the defense, like, oh, I'm here to defend myself. You didn't put them in that position. You gave them the platform to tell their true, authentic story without you being like, oh, well, yeah, I definitely agree. Because sometimes you'll be like, oh, okay. Well, if such and such and such and such, and I appreciate it, you still maintaining your authenticity around the season and the situations while having the people literally in your face. You know what I mean?
Thank you so much.
I
I'm going
loved
to say this. So actually, Black reached out to me.
Yes. Because you said, wait a minute. When you said that, I said, come on, see, that's what I aspire.
Because I said in my in my review, I want to talk to Sherelle.
I literally watched you say that. And then you said, somebody drop her information in the chat if you have it.
Because I didn't even follow her on Instagram, right? I said, I want to talk to Sherelle because I feel like her voice she's not getting an opportunity to tell her story. And what happened was Black reached out to me and he matter of fact, it was funny because the way Instagram is weird because if you don't, I guess I have my settings set up that if I don't follow that person, their messages, I don't see them. There's a whole
nother box. Yep.
Right. And so he had messaged me, but I wasn't following him. So I didn't see it. So he actually left a comment under one of my posts and was like, check your inbox. And I was like, okay. And that's when I saw it. And he said, I was watching your review and I think that you're fair. And I saw that you want to talk to my wife. And he said, she's on a social media fast right now. So she's not on social media, but we want to do the interview. And no, he said she wants to do the interview. And I said, well, great. I said, but why not interview both of you guys? Because I think your voice isn't being shared either. And so it went really quick. Like, it was like boom, boom, boom. When I saw the post, I really liked it, But here's the thing, going back to what I said about not doing interviews at the beginning, the other thing you have to do is when you do interview somebody after you've been reviewing the show, you got to be willing to stand in your ish. So that's why I say, well, I said this in my review, ... Because
Yes.
if I said it, I said it.
You
And I'm going
said
to tell
it.
you where I learned that lesson. I learned that lesson when I interviewed Buffy from Married to Medicine.
I knew, really, I promise you, I knew you were going to say Buffy.
Because
Wow.
the first thing Buffy said to me was, oh, I went back and watched your reviews. I know exactly how you felt about me.
And so if you had a came on, if she had never said that and you had a came on Fugazi, then she would have been,
And what
wow.
I said was, but here's the thing with Buffy, again, like you said, you know, I'm an episode by episode person.
Yes.
So there were episodes where Buffy irritated my soul.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were episodes that I was like, okay, that was kind of effed up. I don't like the way that went down.
Mm-hmm.
I have always maintained that, in my opinion, what Dr. Jackie did to Buffy was wrong.
Yeah.
Now, do I agree with everything Dr. Buffy did? I mean, Buffy did on her season? No.
Right. Yep.
You know, but again, when I interviewed her, it was like 2 years later. So honestly, I don't remember everything I had said. And I was interviewing her because I had started following her on social media and we had built sort of a rapport on social media. And I asked her to come on to talk about adoption and stuff like that. And of course, we did talk about the show. And so that's what she said. Because I said something about her on the show, and she was like, "Oh, I know exactly how you felt about me on the show." She said, "I went back and watched your reviews." So that's the double-edged sword, right? Yeah. Like waiting until after you reviewed the show, you got to be open. When you reach out to these people, you got to be open and you got to stand in it and be like, "Well, yeah, I said it, but that's how I feel." But you know what I always say? I'm basing it on what they're showing me.
I was going to say, and they have to know, we don't know the behind the scenes. If you want to give that to me,
you got to tell me.
Yeah.
And that's why you're here.
Yeah. So do you like that? Because some people say they don't like knowing what goes on behind the scenes, but I'm a fact person. So if I'm giving my review based on what I see, I don't mind you coming to tell me this is actually what happened. But it can get a little murky though too, because then you're also looking at the show differently as well.
So that's something that has evolved. And again, going back to your question about where we are with reality TV today. So here's
you are such a teacher. I love it.
Sorry, I can't turn it off.
I love it because it's like I just love it. I love it.
But I think part of the problem with reality TV is they're allowing, and you know, when reality TV first started, there wasn't all this social media, right? Yeah. Remember when the Bravo stars had to just do blogs and tell their side of the story?
I miss those days.
Right. We miss the blogs, right? I think that from Bravo on down, I think they have to be a lot more strict, and I think they need to tighten up what these people are allowed to put on social media, how they're allowed to speak, what they're allowed to tell us. Because here's the double-edged sword, right? I like to review what I see.
Okay.
But the problem has become, one, if I'm calling a thing, our channels are built on the content, right? So if the episode, a perfect example is Married to Medicine. This is and Love and Marriage DC is a perfect example. But perfect example is Married to Medicine. Right? Perfect example is Married to Medicine. So the show comes on Sunday night, right? Monday night, we get Dr. Heavenly giving us her review, and Dr. Heavenly got diarrhea of the mouth. She tells it all. So now I'm reviewing the show, but now I got Dr. Heavenly telling me, well, what you didn't see was, and what really happened was, and well, after the camera stopped rolling, this went down. So now I've got the context. So now I'm going to come back and talk to my people about what's on social media. We got Candace tweeting after the episode. The Real Housewives doing it. The New Jersey girls do it. The Beverly Hills girls do it. Love and Marriage. We ain't even going to talk about that train wreck that's Love and Marriage DC.
Girl.
So now, from a content creator point of view, I have to talk about it, right?
Yep.
Because now my viewers want because you know what they do? when I'm doing a live review, they're dropping it in the chat.
I was gonna say they're getting in your comments saying, but what you because if you missed the live with Heavenly,
well, Dr. Heavenly said this, and did you see what Quad tweeted? So now I'm forced to go and see all of this stuff. So now I got to come and talk about it because now it's more content, right? Yeah. So the answer is honestly, I liked it when it was just the story that we saw and we talked about what we saw. But I also think part of the problem is production.
Again, production has become one of the housewives or one of the stars.
Yeah, they're like the sixth man on the basketball team. Now you're producing instead of filming.
Yeah. You're exactly right. And one thing I don't like to hear, and I'm not saying I don't like to hear that she's a nice person, but it lets me know that you're playing a character. And I know that we're so far beyond when we first started Housewives, but you do want to feel like the people that you're watching are at least a version of themselves, even if it's a heightened version. The thing that people say about Ashley, she's wonderful in real life. She's this in real life. And it's like, I would like to see some of that on the show then too. Also.
Can I say something? And people ain't gonna like what I'm about to say. So this is me. Come on over to Really Be TV and leave it in my comments, okay? It's me.
This is what you're here for. I knew that you would give us the real.
I know people gonna hate what I'm getting ready to say because they're gonna be like, Ashley's just a mean girl and you're defending Ashley. You know why Ashley don't really, I think Ashley does not bother me the way she bothers other people is because to me, Ashley is a typical Baltimore girl to me.
Okay. So can I say that?
I've said this publicly, and I've interviewed Ashley, so it is what it is.
Really?
But do I think that Ashley should be fired? Yes. I think. Listen, if they're going to save this show, the only people that need to come back are Urena and Jamie. Now,
you talking about Ashley? I'm thinking about Potomac.
Oh, no, I thought you was talking about. Look at this. Let's jump. No. Let's Ashley on Ashley on Potomac. Yeah. Ashley probably was a really nice person in real life. My problem with Ashley isn't that I think she's because I think Ashley does what she knows to do. Listen, from the very beginning, Ashley understood the assignment.
And that's what it boils down to.
Yeah, Ashley understood the assignment from day one. Yeah. Do I think Ashley's messy in real life? No, I don't think she's that messy in real life.
That's what
do I think that Ashley stirs the pot in real life? Yeah, I think she might stir the pot a little bit in real life. Do I think that Ashley is as naive as she used to, because she doesn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Tried to pretend she was.
Yeah.
Not so much, but in some cases, because she was naive about that prenup, because I think she really thought she had Michael over a barrel.
Girl. But he didn't get that being a shrewd businessman for nothing. But okay, look, I told Really I would not have her here all night. I said, I ain't gonna keep you no longer than an hour, but see, the people that have listened to me for a while know that this is what I do.
I'll come back because this is fun.
But I was gonna say, if the guest talk, I keep going.
I was going to try to see if we wanted to do talk about Miami, but then Miami came and went so fast. But but if you watch New Jersey, maybe we can come back and talk about New Jersey.
Yes.
Because baby, listen, let me tell you something. I know you were getting ready. You asked me your question, then we'll go back to New Jersey.
I was gonna say, the people already know that you're coming back. Even before I say it, the people will already know Really is coming back. Actually, somebody in your comment said, I'm so glad that you're collaborating with her. I could see y'all doing something weekly. That's what the people said. But anyway.
That's what the people said. I think I know who said it because I think I read that comment. I know who said it.
But anyway, we talked about, but to your point, this Love and Married to DC, I thought I liked knowing behind, when
it's a shit show.
It's become,
excuse my language.
That's become so much for me. No, it's become so much. And watching them recap, they're not even recapping I know what they're not doing anymore, but in their recaps, they weren't even recapping the episode anymore. It was about some of the stuff. So it's interesting that you said you think Ashley should be fired. Something has to change.
So here's what if Carlos were to call me, which he won't, but if Carlos were to call me, here's my suggestion. If you're going, first of all, I don't think the show is coming back. I don't think Carlos is interested in bringing the show back. That's number one.
Because you saw what Ashley said when they asked her on her live, right?
What did she say?
Somebody said she was reading after Winter and Sharella got off. She was reading questions, and one of them was like, "Do you think they're bringing Love and Marriage DC back?" And she was like, "No, I don't."
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Anybody who follows Carlos, y'all know how Carlos films his shows. They haven't filmed in a year. Ashley said the last time they filmed, she said all the stuff that we're seeing now, they stopped filming last March.
That's right. They would, because we know they film back to back to back.
Look at Huntsville. They get like 2-week breaks. Like Huntsville be like boom, boom, boom. They're already filming season 2 of Love and Marriage Detroit. And Love and Marriage hasn't even started. And so it's been a year since they filmed. The reunion was in August. So even when we get to the reunion is 8 months old. Right. And so what I think is, but what's interesting though is Carlos is coming here for his live podcast, and it's got the ladies of Love and Marriage on there. I have a ticket. Are you going?
I thought about it, but you're going, right?
I got a ticket. I did. Because I thought about it too. And it's my fault because I realized it was Mother's Day, and I was like, "Oh, do I really want to go on Mother's Day?" But I already bought the ticket now.
If I had known, I could have convinced the hubby to get me. We could have went together.
But girl, yeah, I know, right? But I do find it interesting that he's going to do Love and Marriage DC when he comes. I find that to be interesting. But I think that here's how I feel about it. Do I like Ashley? I'm probably one of the few people that do. I don't have a problem.
I like her too. Yeah.
But I think that at this point, Ashley is not good for reality TV. And here's why Ashley's not good for reality TV. Because Ashley's personality is, this is why I wouldn't be good at reality TV, right? I'm a Cancer. When I'm done, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'll put up with a lot, but when I'm done, I'm done. And so I can be I'm quad. We can work, but that's it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna film, I'm gonna go home. And so the reason why I think everybody needs to go except for Jamie and Urena, and here's why. Because Jamie and Urena get it. Do I think that all of this, I think they self-produce some of that stuff. I do. I really do.
Yeah.
But they get reality TV. They understand we got to bring you some drama. We got to bring you some personal story. We got to promote the show. We got to play nice. Jamie and Urena, they know how to play the game. I was getting ready to say something. I'll tell you.
The fact that you slowed down, it was like,
Because I realized I was going to say something I didn't need to say publicly. But
okay, we talk offline.
Jamie and Urena know how to push past their personal feelings for the good of the show. Mm-hmm. The fact that Ashley and Joy are two of the same, and they cannot, like, at this point, I don't care who's right and who's wrong. I'm over it. I'm over it, and I'm tired.
Yeah.
And at this point, it's on both of them.
Yeah.
Both of them, in my opinion. Now, I know everybody's not going to agree with me, because what I find very convenient about this Ashley Joy situation is people conveniently forget that the reason why Ashley told Joy's business is because Joy was talking shit about Ashley.
And Alicia. Yes.
Right. Joy was talking ish about Ashley and Alicia.
Sure was.
So Ashley was talking to Alicia, and that's why I love you, Ashley, but you're not going to convince me that you accidentally told. You knew exactly what you were doing, and you did it on purpose. But see, I understand Ashley, because she's me and I am her. I would have done the same thing.
And just have a real moment. I was pissed off and I said it.
Absolutely.
Because I heard that you was talking about me.
Absolutely. And she said that.
Yeah, she did say that. She did. She
said I was mad and I said it.
And Joy almost kind of tried to lie her way out of, like, she tried to act like she wasn't really talking about Alicia. Right. And
so Ashley. I think a lot of people, because Ashley has become the biggest mouth in the room.
Yes.
And Joy has sort of tried to play the, I'm going to be the bigger person. People forget that Joy started it.
Joy started that. And Joy's the type, to me, you've been watching Bad and Bougie. Almost like Malaysia called out Tamika, you want to say what you want to say, then shut the conversation down and can't nobody respond. And that's not cool.
That's exactly what Joy does. That's exactly what Joy does. Like I said about Sherelle and Black, I don't know whose version of the story is true, but the fact that you threw that stuff out there and you've never given them the opportunity to address it, that's my problem.
Yeah.
At this point, because I had people in my comments say, well, it sounded like Black and Sherelle admitted what Joy said. If that's how you interpreted what they said, that's fine.
I
But
saw that
they were able to say it, as long as they were able to tell their story.
And technically, I'm glad you brought that up, because I saw those comments and I said, actually, they didn't, because Joy is trying to say that they started something while he was with the friend. Your comments are saying, oh, it didn't start till after then. So it's like, actually, they're not admitting it, but also, like you said, they get to say it.
They get to, and that is what is missing with the show, is that, in my opinion, with the Duncans, you can't just throw that kind of stuff out and then not give them the opportunity to address it. That's not fair.
That's not fair.
If you're going to allow Joy to make that her reason why she don't F with them, that's fine. She don't have to like them. She don't have to get along with them. She don't have to deal with them. But it's not fair to them to not allow them the opportunity to address it. That's what's not fair.
On camera.
Now, the reality of the situation is they may both walk away still feeling how they felt. That's fine. That's fair. But have the conversation. That's like with Giselle, Chris, and Candace.
Yes.
Listen, they're not going to agree, but the conversation was had.
Yes. At least it was. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
And so at this point, I think the show is in such shambles.
Oof.
I don't think it can be fixed. I just don't. I don't think with that set of people, we can move forward. And so if Carlos chooses to keep the show, I think he needs to reboot, and I think he needs to build up around the Tylers. I'm sorry. That's how I feel. And I like Ashley. I don't have no beef with Ashley. I know at one point Ashley even auditioned. She was being looked at for the Real Housewives of Potomac.
Girl, wait a minute. And when they told her she didn't have enough bags and she's girl, I said, are we watching this thing? They told you that you didn't have enough bags and what? Girl.
But we got a whole girl, don't get me started.
Yep. Now I'm just going to say this and then I will wrap you up, because again, you have given me more than enough time and I've had so much fun. And I know the audience, I love you. So I know that they're going to love you.
Well, I love y'all too.
And you heard her. She said she love us too. I'm going to have all your stuff tagged in it, but I wanted to say this. You saying that you don't know how this group is going to move forward. How is he going to do a Mother's Day brunch with all three of them at the same time? Because I think some of them get it, but Ashley wears her feelings. So how is she going to be able to go in?
Let me give your people some tea. Y'all want some tea?
You
said this dropping on Friday?
I
told my people this already. I got a little background inside scoop. Okay.
You mentioned this because I hadn't got to that part yet. You said that you had tea. Okay.
I put it in my members only, but then I took it off. I put it on private. I'm going to explain why I put it on private now. Let me tell you the tea.
Look, you see, I'm all in.
So from what I was told, a little birdie slid into my inbox and told me that there were members of the cast that were refusing to show up if other members of the cast was there. Said, I absolutely am not going to be on the same stage with certain people. Now, I ain't going to tell you who those people were. I'm going to just tell you it had happened. So somebody allegedly, even though I know it's true, but I'm going to say allegedly, somebody allegedly sent an email to Carlos and said, I ain't coming if that person's coming. Now, the conclusion to the story is Lil Birdie slid back into my box and said, everything is all good now. We talked to Carlos and everybody's going to be there. So to answer your question, it's been drama. But it sounds like Carlos put his foot down. He put his boss hat on and said, oh no, but you will be there.
But you will be there.
Oh, but you will. Which again, now that leads me to think maybe he is bringing the show back. Because if you're canceling the show, what leverage do you have? Unless you're
And
paying them. Now, maybe he's paying them and he offered them more money. Now, that could be off. I don't have those details. I just know that there were certain people that didn't want to come, and Carlos had to talk to some people. And after the conversation with Carlos, they changed their mind. Now, that's just a little tea for your people.
my heart is like, oh my God. And on that note, I'm really trying to get off y'all so I can get the real tea. Sorry, y'all.
Now, listen, I'm going to be there. So I'll tell you if it goes down. I'm going to tell you what happened.
Oh my gosh. Y'all, please, please, please. First of all, really tell everybody, if they don't already know, where they can find you. And every link that she says, I'm going to link in the audio description. I need to figure out how to link it in the YouTube because I'm still learning the YouTube streets, but you could probably help me with that. But
you can put it in the description box. Yeah.
Let everybody know where they can find you and both of your channels. Because what I love is that you have your main channel and you started your recap channel also. I love that.
So my main channel on YouTube is Really Be TV, REALLYB as in boy TV. And that's celebrity news and gossip. You're going to find reviews and stuff because, like you said, I just started that at the beginning of the year. And then I've also started a second channel that is just strictly television reviews, live reviews, uploads of television shows and documentaries and movies. It is strictly reviews. And that is Really Be Space Reviews, or is it Really Be TV Space Reviews? So those are the two channels that you can find me on. I do have an education podcast that I do as well called The Teacher Project 2.0 that you can find on YouTube as well. And it's also on all streaming. It's on Apple and Google and all that. So yeah, that's what you can find me. On Instagram, I'm at ReallyBTV_ on YouTube. And I'm on the TikTok too. Same thing, ReallyBTV_ on YouTube. I'm on Twitter, but I'm really not on Twitter, so
that's like me. I'm on TikTok, but I'm not on TikTok.
Right. I found out one of my Twitters. I actually found out my Twitter account got hacked earlier this week because I have a teacher Twitter, like a professional Twitter.
Okay.
And then I have my, Really Be Twitter. Then I have like my first Twitter that I first started. And that one got hacked. And so, they send you the thing saying, we think there's some suspicious activity. I'm hardly ever on Twitter.
Okay.
And I go in and those are my tweets, but then it's like some kid from Ghana. I'm like, what the heck? So I don't know what happened. I don't know.
I thought you was
I don't even use this thing. I'm like, and the thing is, they're not even, maybe they're using my stuff to do something. I don't know, but the tweets, they're all my tweets, but they're old tweets though. Like, because I don't use it.
But isn't that scary though? Almost how somebody could just go in.
I almost really just want to delete it because I'm like, what are you using this for?
Right. Like, why are you over here?
Yeah, I'm actually like really, I'm talking, because I'm the old lady in the room, so I'm talking to my students. I'm like, you see what somebody did to my tweet? They're like, oh yeah, you got hacked. I'm like, so.
I like how you said the old lady in the room. Yes. Listen, my kids keep me on my I have a 20, she just turned 27. How old am I? She just turned 27. And then I have a son, his third year in college. He turned 22 in January. And then my youngest is 19. She's in her third year. My son is in California. And then my daughter is in New York.
Oh, wow. In New York. Oh, wow.
So what I do is I'll be making sure I'm on the Googles and the tickety talks. That way, when they say something to me,
what's going on, honey? Yeah.
I'll be like, oh, did you hear about such and such and such and such? Like my youngest, it's funny. Me and Really talked about this offline, but basically very similar to Really. She's majoring in political science. She wants to be a teacher, but she's thinking about going the law track. And it's funny because she calls us to say goodnight every night. And it was like, oh, I'm watching Don Lemon and Elon Musk's interview. And I was like, oh, well, did you know they dropped him from Twitter and this and that? So I like to let them know I know stuff too. Like, I don't want to become the old parent in the room. So
listen, I get it.
On certain things I am, but on other stuff, I'm like, blah, blah, blah. So like when they talk about Nicki and Cardi, I'm like, Did y'all hear Bigfoot get off the good foot?
Yes. That's like sometimes, you know, that's like if I'm playing a playlist and something comes on and they're like, I'm like, listen.
Mind your business. Listen, I tell my oldest all the time, she's got a key, even though she's in New Jersey. A couple of times she's Mom, I'm on my way down. Okay. Then the door will open. And I told her jokingly twice. This last time I said, check this out. You still need to let us know before you use that key, because I'm just going to tell you. You don't know what you're walking into.
Right. You might walk in on something.
We are empty nesters around here.
Okay.
I'm going to need you to let me know, because I don't
Listen, my parents, and I'm grown, and my parents are grown. And my mama tell me all the time, she said, look, when I go to my parents' house, I open the door and I call before, hey. I don't want to know nothing.
You don't want to know from this. I tell them quick, listen, when y'all not here, we ain't even got to close the door. So listen.
Sure, I feel you.
Y'all, thank y'all so much for watching. Thank y'all so much for listening. Please, y'all, let Really know how much you enjoyed her here. I did so much. Y'all already know. I don't have to say it, even though I'm going to say it in the episode description. She will most definitely be back, probably sooner than she thinks. She talking about Jersey. That's all the way in May, child. So she'll probably be back for sure. Y'all make sure if you're not, make sure you go over to her channel, subscribe. I think I'm going to convince her to start a podcast by turning her YouTubes into audio and uploading them to a podcast format anyway. But I'll be trying to get everybody to do that. But I think that she should definitely do that, because your voice, we love hearing your voice. I know I do. Girl, I'll be excited. Today, I was part of the replay crew. Queued it up as I'm doing my drives. Who's that? Oh, Really BTV. Check it out. Listen, I'll be trying to promote it in the car.
Yes.
But seriously, y'all, thank y'all so much for listening. As I always say, if you want to have respectful discourse about something we said, by all means. But one thing we're not going to tolerate is disrespect. And discourse. Now. Be respectful. And discourse means having it with us, not leaving it on a review on my podcast where I cannot talk back. Y'all, thank y'all so much again for listening to us. We will talk to y'all later. Bye, y'all.